Hello. Hello.
Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
I'm here. Don't you worry. I'm here. I got lost in the track of time. I'm sorry to say. I had other things. There was a knock at my door. I got an Amazon package. It was great. I forgot my water. It's not fully filled, so I might need to do an advertisement some part in the day or leave you with whoever is in the VC for the fact that if like, oh hey, I need to refill my water bottle because I'm drinking through so much fucking water, you would not believe how much water I've been drinking through in the day. It is incredible. So, but yeah, hi everyone! Welcome! Happy Saturday for you Australians, happy Friday night for you Americans, welcome, welcome. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it is. I'm having a fairly good day. Hi there, Mijo. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Can we get a shout out for Mijo, please? I saw you, streaming, yesterday. I was at work or something or rather. It was actually, so, like, no! Don't hyper himbo me, Blue. Why would you do this to me? Why? It's totally unfair. Mario Party 4, how was it? Also, Morse, by the by, we're no longer using the exclamation point shout out. We're using, like, Twitch's built-in thingy-madiggy. The only, like, time the exclamation point would be used is if you want to do, exclamation point, clip shout out. So, exclamation point CSO. It was fun, but Mario wins. Mario cheats, I feel like is the key there. But, yeah. It is what it is. Alright, hang on a second. I need to... I need to change the camera to the live duo. There we go. That way... Alright, so, you lost by chance time. Oh, that's the most unfair way to, like, to lose, I'm gonna be real with you. Because chance time, like, a lot of the earlier Mario games, they just are like, oh... chance time, randomization kind of nonsense. But apparently in the Mario Kart Jamboree, like the new one that came out...
Calm your rice paddy.
Sounds like a typical Friday night, losing to Mario. Yeah. But yeah, apparently Mario Kart... Also, is there a... Who the fuck is running the lawn... Can you guys hear the lawnmower? I think you can. Who would... do that? But yeah, any whoosies, it's me. You're the lawn. Why are you mowing your lawn? Why do you have a lawn? This is totally unfair. You don't need a lawn, Blue. But yeah, if you have like Mario Kart Jamboree, apparently you can do like a quote unquote competitive mode. So it's a case of like, oh, like you remove like the chance games. So you can all like set to skill based. The, like, secret category is no longer secret. You know at the start of the game what the winning categories are, so you can play your strategy around that, apparently. It's all crazy. Do you want me to win faster? No, I don't want Blue to win faster. I don't, like... Okay, if you don't know about Blue, Blue is a fucking fiend at the Nintendo Switch games, okay? And they are a fiend at Mario Party, because they played on the highest difficulty across Mario Party 1 to Mario Party, I don't know, like fucking 6 or 7, and they've done it by themselves, and so they've had to play with no allies, and then just win on their own fucking merits, and then just, you know, it's like Survivor, where it's like, this is the guy who knows how to play the game, you can't hate the player, you just have to hate the game. You're up, but give me an hour to shower and have breakfast. Understandable, Izzy the fat cat. I have already had breakfast. I had myself an espresso, like, very low calorie diet shake. And good news, everyone, I'm not plateauing. I've lost half a kilo between the time of yesterday and today, even though I was working from home and I was, like, very much just, you know, drinking my water and going, like, and I was just at my desk and what have you. So... yay! I think what might have happened, this is a bit of a conspiracy theory, I will be real with you, because that was like basically 3 days after trivia night. Now, I did not eat anything at trivia night besides a cherry tomato. 2 cherry tomatoes off a friend's plate. I didn't eat any chips, I didn't eat any beef, I didn't eat any greens except for a cherry tomato, and the cherry tomato might have had like a little bit of like virgin olive oil or some nonsense. But I had quite a bit of their Coke Zero and they had Coke Zero in a jug. I don't think they gave us Coke Zero. Unless it's like a proper like different flavor or something like that, I can't tell the difference between a lot of beverages. I think they gave us like full sugar Coke instead of Coke Zero. And I can't confirm that nonsense right now, but considering that it was like 3 days after I was at the thingamatigi, and the dietitian was like, oh, if you like, fuck up the diet or what have you, the ketogenics nonsense doesn't go off again until 3 days after. So if you if you hit yourself a bump, like, if you accidentally eat some stuff, it's like, you're gonna have to start all over after 3 days. And that, like, I'm gonna be real with you, 3 days out of the week is a fucking bummer of a time. Like, because I lost the water weight from Tuesday, which was fine. But then the next day, I only lost, like, I think, like, 100 grams or something. And the next day was another 100 grams only. But today, I've lost half a kilo, which is great. So, I'm still in sort of, like, the realm of, like, losing half a kilo to a kilo a week, which is, like, a healthy amount of diet to lose. But I very, 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 very much love being able to lose, like, 5 kilos a week. That would be fucking fantastic. And, oh, I can see that there is someone in the chat. I'm going to need to move him into here. Bing. Bong. Habam. Hello there, Blue Foxy Cutie Icy. You are on stream.
Wow, getting my name wrong.
It says Blue Foxy Cutie Icy here on the stream and there over in the, what's-a-mahoozy things. You're welcome to confirm this nonsense. I'm gonna be real with you. I did not change your nickname in my server.
Who did that?
I feel like it could have been you, because I'm pretty sure you're a moderator in my server.
I didn't do that at all.
You didn't do that at all? He says, looking all cutely. So, happy Saturday, Blue. I'm really glad you're able to join me, because I know, like, you're like doing your best, like, working at your job, being a forklift certified, like, power machine. I'm really thankful for you coming here today.
Yeah, and it turns out I got work later today, so let's make the most out of this.
Oh my goodness. All right, we got no time to lose. All right, so for Blue Foxy and ICIC, I have shared I've shared my webcam feed, which goes directly into my game capture software, so you're able to see the room code. Hopefully it doesn't do like a 180 flip for you and you can actually like read it normally and what have you. So I've sent an invite as well to a few other people as well. And oh, there's one of my other moderators, Morse. Hello. What was that noise?
Me.
It's
becoming dangerous.
You're here. Have no fear because you are here. Miho just going.
Yeah, look at Morse's name.
Horse Melange. I did not change that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't change people's names in my Discord. I don't keep up with the Discord nonsense and what have you. Also, what is up with my phone? It's not Final Fantasy XIV right now. It's an entirely different event. End that event. It's not Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, it's the community game stream. There we go. So yeah. But so yeah, it looks like Izzy is gonna take like an hour to do that. All right, let's move on over to the game real quickly. All right, so we got one person in. I'm guessing that's Blue. Alrighty. Room ID. Invited. You're using tilt controls.
Oh my god, they're using tilt controls.
Yep. I love
No,
the index finger pointing at the viewer. Like, I love how that's an emote. I don't remember when it was a thing, but they've made it a thing now. And then we're gonna pin this message, and we're gonna manually unpin it, so then that way the only time... There we go. So yeah.
Have you heard of the dumb news?
You're gonna need to be a little bit more specific because there has been, there's been E. coli outbreak because of the onions in the Quarter Pounder. There's been the Labour Party just going, hugely against Liberal because of, I'm gonna be real with you, a very American political topic of, they're gonna steal your abortion rights. And I'm like, when the fuck has that ever been a problem in Australia? And apparently this year. What news?
Yeah. So this is MTG related.
Final Fantasy the critically acclaimed game franchise, complete with a free MMO, yada yada. They're gonna be doing into MTG stuff.
Do you know when that's gonna happen?
Probably Christmas or in the next week. I don't know. Their schedule is really fucking close together.
They said June next year.
Alright, so what's the problem with June next year?
And I'm just gonna be like, someone has Aerith on field? Alright, I cast you're already dead.
They showed off Kafka from one of the Final Fantasy. I don't know who the fuck Kafka is, but it looks like as if, this is the Japanese interpretation of Joker in the Final Fantasy universe.
Franz Kafka.
You don't know Kefka? Oh my god.
I don't know. I did not grow up with the PlayStation series, okay? I'm experiencing Spyro for the first time. I'm gonna be experiencing...
Kafka's not even from the PlayStation series, so...
Where is he from?
He's from 3, 6, 4?
Yeah, so basically, this should still be Nintendo level of,
Isn't Final Fantasy, 3, the start of when it was, available on the PlayStation 1?
No, a lot of the older ones came out on the NES and SNES.
Yeah.
Oh, listen to you two old farts. I didn't grow up with a SNES or a NES. That was before my time. I'm a 93s kid. I'm part of the modern age of
Baby.
The Nintendo 64, the PlayStation, and
How
the
do you-
Xbox.
Baby man.
How did you figure out how to use a computer? It's not a tablet.
Hey, don't
keyboard.
don't disrespect me like that, all right? I'm not one of those alpha Gen Zers that don't know what a command prompt or a file explorer is. Oh my god, did you hear about that? How how there was that theory which was every year the average intelligence is increasing, and with generation it's because and a good example is computer knowledge and such like that increases over time and such, and ideally the millennium generation was really high up there, but then alpha was picking up things very quickly because they grew up with it, because the internet was there for them as well. Apparently the alpha generation, the post millennials generations, they're actually regressing in computer knowledge because all of their thing is stuck in the web browser. If it's not within a web browser, if it's not a mobile app, it is not, they cannot work in a business environment with laptops and computers and corporate environments like Active Directory and what have you. They're lost. They don't know what a recycling bin is. They don't know about proper email management and everything. It's they don't know how to use computers.
That's okay. I'm using tilt controls.
But anyway, okay, so Zeebs, I sent the thing in the VC chat if you want to quickly look at it.
Alright.
While we wait.
Alrighty then. While we wait. A sneak peek at the Final Fantasy crossover Magic the Gathering, releasing June 13th, 2023. Oh, you linked me Twitter/X? You linked me Twitter/X? We're not going on that shit anymore. We're a Blue Sky team now. Where's your Blue Sky? You're blue.
It's not my fault at the moment that we're still going through this
We're in that
phase.
transition phase, yeah.
But you guys can transition though. You don't have to wait for everyone else if you want to transition. You can do that yourself. I did that. Right now, my Twitter is just on just on auto feed mode, where it's oh, I have scheduled tweets for I start streaming. That's it. If you want my memes, my quick takes, and my arts, you go to my Blue Sky.
Yeah, but that doesn't work if other people haven't transitioned over
sorry.
yet.
There
Yeah.
is 12 million people on that platform right now. Who are you saying is not there? Kusaki's there, Z's there, Mixie's there, Zephora's there. I saw you there for a bit. There's all kinds of people. I bet if you move there, everyone's gonna be like, oh my goodness, the Twitch streamer Blue Foxy Nicey Icy with the critically acclaimed skills in Mario Party and the MTG knowledge. He's moved over to Blue Sky, and what do you know? You'll find plenty of people.
What happens if I want things that are not them?
Like what?
Like what I'm showing you now.
The news? That'll pop up. I saw the Kafka because of Blue Sky. It's there. You just don't have, like, you know, bot accounts. You don't have, you know, porn accounts being like, ooh woo, hot MILFs in your
porn
area.
accounts.
Look now in 2
My dude.
miles. You don't have someone, like, you know, reminding me that Asmongold exists in a fucking Nurgle roost house. You don't have people reminding me that Dr. Disrespect is still platformed. Instead, I get cool shit such as, hey, check out this artist I've never heard. I'm still finding artists, like, in the furry and the VTubing, like, spheres and what have you, that I'm like, that is totally up my shit. How did I not see them before? And they had all the stiff before, but now because they're on Blue Sky, it's like, I don't know, Blue Sky's just better. It's just better. Do you just not want to start from scratch? Are you not used to that?
No, it's more of not everyone has transitioned over yet. Plus, I'm still on my 1 month break. So I haven't done shit when it comes to any socials.
Also, when did you change your name? Why are you coarse orange?
What are you talking about? I've always been this.
Don't gaslight me on this one. The Australians do it too often to me, and I'm sick and tired of their drop bear shit.
He's always been coarse orange. What are you talking about?
You're Australian.
I've always been Australian.
It's always been. I'm surrounded by Australians. God damn it! Even when I go on this platform, I'm surrounded by Australians.
Well, you live in our country, so what do you expect would happen?
Oh my goodness. All right, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna do a 100cc. We're gonna bring in medium CPUs, and let's just do a quick. Oh my god, you can do like so many races. Let's just do 4 for now.
32 races? Oh my god.
Apparently, you can do. Could you imagine the fucking like time it would take? Maybe if I had.
I would.
It would be the entire stream.
I would do it.
Maybe if we had, like, you know, way more humans. Alright, as always, we have to get with Baby Park added into the What's-a-Mahoozies. It's always fun. Also, I'm pretty sure I invited... Where the fuck are they? Ding, 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 ding. I sent them an invite, didn't I? Pretty sure I sent them an invite. Mario Kart? Question mark? Dun. Oh my gosh, look at this. Blue not picking a track. Oh, there we go. Why was that so hard?
All I did was press A.
But yeah, also, hi there, Tabitha Thoughts. Welcome to the stream. But yeah. How do you feel about Magic the Gathering doing the whole, like, Fortnite Marvel route of, like, hey, you know this character? Hey, you know this place? Hey, this and that, instead of, you know, utilizing stuff that's already in their thing, such as, like, you know, more Bloomborough, or wherever the fuck, the crazy place with the elves being racist are.
If you want to go into that territory, they just announced SpongeBob for a Secret Lair.
Okay, but that's Secret Lair. I'm fine. Like, Secret Lair was already this, like, you know, we knew when we saw Secret Lair and, like, the limited ranges and such like that, where it's, like, already a case of, like, oh, you have to
Tabitha
be this
Fox
rich
paid
to
me to
use
say,
it.
if it is a Blizzard product, then it's
But
dead
my
to me
problem
because
with
stuff
Secret
Blizzard.
Lairs right now is that they constantly they're printing cards with unique abilities with no equivalent in the game. Like with the
in
Marvel
standard
stuff coming
rotation,
out.
You mean?
Like, yes, because when you print new cards, it's going to be in standard, obviously, or something like Modern Horizons or whatever.
Yeah.
But But as a baseline, it will be standard. But with all the Marvel cards, you're like, okay, this looks like it's probably Commander usable.
I'm gonna be real with you. Commander has like 20 years of cards to work with. Like, they're about to get as toxic as Modern, if not more, because of their unique mechanics.
It's already toxic just because they're printing cards for Commander. I like the idea of using jank from random stuff I have, not like have cards created for Commander.
I think at that point you need to like do Brawl or something in order to...
That Brawl is dying as a format.
Well, that's because, like, isn't it a case of, like, you know, the only, like, place you can do it quickly is on, like, what was it, Magic Arena or some shit? But it's like, you know, standard.
Brawl is Commander for standard. That's what it is, and
Yeah.
not everyone keeps up with standard. Like, originally, Commander was built by people that wanted to use, you know, random junk they had in their collection. Stuff that wouldn't be usable anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's rotated out, or they don't play a format that uses those cards.
But because we live in an age where, you know, we're gonna optimize the fun out of shit, we've now realized, oh, this jank mechanic from, like, 10 plus years ago is so useful for this recent thing in Standard that they're not gonna ban.
Yes, and I like the idea of, okay, there's this legendary that came out. It's kind of jank. Can I build something to make this thing work? And then when it does work, you're like, this is amazing.
I remember I mentioned this to you, and I was like, I didn't have a solution for this, but I think the problem is just Magic the Gathering, like, for a while now, it's really difficult to do this. It's the same reason why I feel like esports is a very difficult thing for people to, like, you know, properly, like, crack as, like, good advertisement, like, team-based instead of player-based. And it's just the fact that we can't really present the forest. We're too busy with the trees. In this case, I mean, like, we're all too interested in, like, a card or a combo, but we haven't seen from, like, Magic the Gathering, except for when they did, you know, Jumpstart, where they made it, like, so much easier to do. But we've not seen, like, you know, campaigns or anything like that for, like, deck building. Other than, like, you know, you do your draft or something. But draft is limited to you're playing a new, like, set of cards and such, and that's the excitement. There's none of this, like, oh, we're gonna... Oh, hang on. There we go. There isn't any, like, encouraging deck buildings. Like, I don't know, Cube, for instance, is, like, really hard to advertise.
Cube is a social thing. You gotta have a group of friends to do a cube.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And it's something similar to holding a D&D session. You need to pretty much set up one of those.
You need a session 0 with someone to be like, right, there is no mana crypt. Please stop asking.
Yeah, it's one of those things of, I hope you have a group of friends that are willing to do cube.
You know me, I have a hard time getting friends just to do a draft, so...
I'll tell you what though, they do advertise drafting as well. You got the limited format, which a lot of people like doing.
Okay.
And Popper, because, you know, commons only.
Yeah. Do you think the Popper ones, are those ones like official sanction, or is it more on the case of like enough like stores have like seen action and have wanted to, like, you know, do things with it?
It's recognized as an official format.
Okay.
But the problem is, I think there's just not enough awareness of it. People know Popper exists, but people don't know people playing Popper. You get what I mean?
It's kind of a case of like it's popular, but there isn't an understanding of the user base. So it's like, how do you, like, are you supporting a user base, like, you know, that is private, or are they worried that they're just going to be like, oh, here's the hyper fans that are just going to ruin the game for everyone else, like Commander?
It's like, if you had people come and play Pauper, you could set the bar really low in terms of entry costs, like less than $5
Because it's all common
per
cards.
player. Yeah, it's all commons, and then you can tell them, like, you can either play your own Pauper decks, like you have a Pauper tournament, like how you would do standard or whatever. Or you could say, here you go, you can pay more to, you know, crack packs and just play Pauper if you want to. But at that point, you could also just say, we have a sealed event, a sealed draft if you want to participate.
I can barely keep coins up. Oh my god. But
Come back here, Luigi!
are you winning?
Oh, there goes the blue shell. Now, I am currently in second place, and that blue shell just went and devastated that man.
I need to pick up more coins, but I'm having a bit of a problem. There we go. Nope. No! Oh, Jesus. Just don't aim for me. I can't get, like, more than 5 coins. Anytime I get over 5, it's like I get hit with something, and it's just like, goddamn.
Don't worry, I've been hit by something multiple times. Of course someone uses a boo on me when I was about to throw that thing.
Fuck you, Diddy. Welcome back, Mijo. Damn it.
But anyway, my opinions on what's going on in terms of my hobby with MTG, I consider it a very money grabby.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to think of the last set I've got, and I think it's quite frankly what I got at Furdu, which was Thunder Junction, and to be real with you, I have not done anything with those cards after the draft. Like, they're just sitting in my like office right now. I've not, like, I need to improve, like, because I have like a giant box for my commons and uncommons, and then I have like separate boxes for the for my rares and mythics, and I've not yet finished sorting them out, and I've not done like any, you know, making, because I know you go through like what 69 different commander decks, and you're like, oh, here's another 60 to go. We're almost at the end of the year. Oh shit. How did I...
Did he just fall down?
Shut up. Shut up. It's not important. What is this Fall Guys place?
Diabetes.
America.
Damn, I'm gonna have a hard time in America if I'm still on this shake diet. No! Ah, you bastard. Just let me have more than 2 coins, please. Let me have coins. Oh, damn it. Fuck. Now I have no
Used it
coins.
too early.
Alright, here we go. Can I make it? Nope, I'm not going fast enough. God damn you. Are you serious?
That's freaking karma for using that on me.
Using what on you?
Oh, Mio is just like, oh, I'm gonna use the freaking speaker on you, and then gets hit by a banana.
Nice. Alright, here we go. And bam. Oh shit. I thought there was like a track in the middle. I didn't think it was just blank.
That's how a lot of people see life. It's like, I thought there was something here. Nah, I'm just gonna fall into an endless void.
Oh my god, story of my life. Come on, be fast enough. Be fast enough. Yes! There we go. Wait, can you drift on these things? Like, are the rails?
You can't drift, but if you hit them, you get a boost.
Yeah, okay. No! Are you fucking... Oh, I just had 6 coins. The NPCs are mean.
You're having problems keeping hold of your capital.
I am a terrible capitalist, I know. I waste so much money. Oh, hi there, unnamed. Where the fuck are you? Why aren't you playing Mario Kart with us?
Okay, that legit messed me up. I got hit by a red shell, a blue shell, another red shell in a row.
Lol.
And a lightning bolt.
Consistently fourth. The NPCs keep fucking me up.
Like I'm legit ahead, and then I just get screwed at the end.
Yeah. You're at work. You told me yesterday. Oh, I forgot. I thought because you had like a thingy-majiggy going off in the afternoon that you were free, but like I'm an idiot. Sorry. I legitimately forgot. I'm sorry. Maybe if I write that, the NPCs will actually go easy on me and they won't, like, you know, bust my balls. So, but yeah. Morse, you have been unusually quiet. You're not an MTG fella, you're more of a... What kind of fella?
I don't play Magic the Gathering at all.
Damn. Yay! It's Baby Park!
Alright, here we go.
Also, like, after a year and a half of playing this game with you guys, I'm trying to actually learn how to play.
Oh, okay.
So,
It's just one of those learning experiences every time.
kind of, yeah. I mean, like, I really have not played this outside of the community the 8 days, so...
Well, amazingly enough, I've played it now, like, twice in as many months, so that is pretty regular, weirdly enough. Oh, you mother... Get back here.
Oh my god, so many bullet bills.
Come on, come on. No! Oh, who the fuck... Who used lightning?
It can't be me, I was in first place. Oh, great, blue shell.
Bullet bills on my ass! Oh, don't you dare make me end up in fourth again. There we go. Oh.
I legit got cucked again.
Yes, I came second! Combo.
Like, I was in first place majority of that race, and then I kept getting, like, shit items.
Well, that's what happens when you're up in the lead. Yes! I got a podium finish! I couldn't beat Blue, unfortunately, or Mio. God damn, Mio, you, like, almost had, like, a perfect race. 57, Jesus. Nice work.
Mia only comes first after I take majority of the race because of a collection of red shells in a row.
And now they have a crown. Yep, room code is the same. Alright, we're gonna wait. We're gonna, like, just chat for a little bit longer and see if there's any more people that want to join in. Who knows?
Oh, man.
Room code is pinned, or I can just say it out loud to you. Z. Sorry, no, that's wrong already. Fuck. 7 V 5 5 X. I swear, GG.
Swear GG when I see the exact same thing happen in 3 races in a row. That's when I start getting a little bit skeptical.
Do you think, like, Mijo plays this, like, a bit too much compared to the 3 of us, with Morse only playing it a few times? You playing it, what, like, once a week?
No, I just like to think that item distribution in this game is kind of stupid.
Well, if you want, we can edit the item distribution. Hang on a second. Let's. So if we do like custom, actually no, we'll do custom items once there's like more people and such like that. But yeah, I could make it so that there's no, so we have only shells if you want. You gotta pick up pizza, but you'll be here. Damn. What kind of pizza? Hi there, Wolf Zeta. I've done a lot of
I'm the kind of
streamers. Ah, they have strats. They know what the streamer is doing, and they know what they watch out for the streamers and the moderators. We need like someone who's not in the moderation team right now to join in as well to give Miho some.
I just need the game to stop giving me coins as items. Because I got like 2 coins 3 times in a row. I'm like, what am I gonna do with this? I'd rather take a banana than a coin.
Okay. Lol, no, damn it.
It's weird, I even got the freaking speakers in 2nd place. I'm like, I don't need this.
You kinda do. It's useful for any of the shells, isn't it?
No, I need to throw something. I don't need a defensive item.
Wait, did I not? Oh my goodness. I never posted on Blue Sky that I was online and streaming. It was still there, like, waiting to do its thing.
I know that when I come back, I gotta do some major changes.
Ooh. Is this planning committee moment? Do tell us, Blue. What more were you thinking? What more were you planning to change? Do tell.
Well, obviously, the whole transition to Blue Sky thing. I already have a Blue Sky account. I just been neglecting it because at the time when we got Blue Sky, people weren't transitioning over fully.
Yeah.
It was just there.
It's been like a year of it being active without having a ton of traction.
I think it's one of those things where it's, let's be real, once it had 10 million people, it was doing its own thing. It was fine. It's not like Mastodon or any of that nonsense where it's like, you know, 5 million people, but it's like across like several different platforms, because the whole purpose of Mastodon is you just create your own community. But then the problem is that because of this micro community, like, you know, there's no easy way for you, like, unless someone was part of all communities, which wasn't possible because, you know, Mastodon didn't have like a central, you know, user base or something like that, much like Blue Sky does. It's like, it wasn't worth making an account for like every community you wanted to be in. You just wanted to make one and then curate your feed after the fact. Blue Sky, however, you do that. You have the one login, and it's actually very fucking fantastic. Like, the moderation settings are, like, so much better. You've got, like, you know, the general ones where it's like, hey, is this okay? Is this suggestive, nude, or porn? You got the obvious ones like that, but then you also have things such as, hang on a sec, let me go through the list, because, like, the moderation is fucking wizardry. It's, like, I'm amazed that, you know, Jack Dorson is just like, oh, did not like this. It's too much. Let's go back to Twitter. And Elon keeps fucking up. Here it is. So, here are the things that you can filter. So you can either do a warning or a hide, for instance. Self-harm. Sensitive content. So upsetting, covering topics like substance abuse or mental health issues, or cautioning sensitive viewers. Extremists. Radical views advocating violence, hate, or discriminating against individuals or groups. Intolerance, which is discrimination against protected groups. Threats promotes violence or harm towards others, including threats, incitement or advocation of harm. Being rude or impolite, including crude language and disrespectful comments without constructive purpose. Illicit, promoting or selling potentially illicit goods, services, or activities. Security concerns, may be unsafe and could harm your device, steal your info, or get your account hacked. Unsafe links. Impersonation, misinformation, scams, engagement farming, spam, rumors, misleading, and inauthentic accounts. All of that, you can, like, you know, do your thingy-majiggies of, like, restricting whether you want to warn it and hide it. And this is actually being useful. You know the comic book, drawer, the one that does, like, the, they have, like, a black cat or something like that, and it's, like, a girl in her 30s or something like that? Granted, I have not narrowed it down very well, but someone apparently made a Blue Sky account. It wasn't the user's actual account, so that got flagged as impersonation. They changed, so the person who held the account changed themselves to Cartoon Network strips, and then, like, you know, within a day or something like that, the account has been been suspended because of, you know, impersonation and shit like that. So yeah, fuck them. But no, honestly, Blue Sky, highly recommend. Get on it. It's so great. There's a lot of the artists and shit are here. It's good. You're gonna be amazed.
The problem with it at the moment is not everyone can transition straight away, because a lot of people still have quite a bit of a following, especially the small artists, the small makers of goods or whatever. And it's going to be hard for them to get back the same amount of people that they had before.
Okay. So,
and if you argue that people can just refollow them on Blue Sky, sure, but not everyone's going to do it. You're probably going to lose at least a quarter of the people.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Yes, you are going to have fewer followers on Blue Sky than you are on Twitter. But here's the thing. There's like depending on your user base, it's going to be different things, all right? But overall, from what I've seen from, like, because here's the thing, Pirate Software, Thor, Whatsamahoozee, he did this experiment on Twitter because he has a Blue Sky account most recently. I've seen artists of, like, you know, tens of thousands of viewers level, artists of, like, you know, much smaller levels, and, like, I've seen it with myself, and I've seen it with Unnamed. Across every level, yes, you have fewer followers, but you have more active followers, is what it seems like, because all of us have experienced way more, like, interaction, like, likes, retweets, or comments on Blue Sky than we did on Twitter. So the only reason, like, and the thing is like, but there's already people moving. I got a report where, like, 20 people unsubscribed to me on Twitter, and I was like, what the fuck happened? And I looked at the list of people that unfollowed me, and it's like, deactivated account, deactivated account, deactivated account. There's already artists, like, who are small size, who actually care about, you know, AI generative content and actually protesting about that shit, that are actually going, nope, fuck this. I don't want to be treated, you know, in an algorithm that's just going to use me for training purposes that I did not condone for when I first made this account. I don't care how many people I lose. I'm pulling out. And they did. And I applaud them every single time. You put, like, it's one thing to be like, oh, I don't care for AI, while still engaging with platforms that engage with AI. It's why I, like, you know, kind of, like, this might be a bit of a, like, you know, Whatsamahoozee hierarchy thing, but I fucking hate the number of, like, the amount of news of people coming back to Diablo 4 and being like, holy shit, this is an amazing game and such, after only, like, you know, a few months ago. And this was before Microsoft, you know, was able to kick Bobby Kotick out and all that kind of nonsense. This was all during that, like, you know, spiel of, you know, Blizzard being a fucking frat party. There's no morals on the internet, and I fucking hate where there's some people that are like, oh, like, I'm not interested, like, I don't want to engage with AI and shit, and I want to leave it. But when there's like, oh, here's a platform that's now gonna, you know, pull your content for AI, and then there's everyone else that's moving to Blue Sky. Brazilians went up in droves to Blue Sky, and there's just commentary of like, I kind of don't want to move right now, because I've got all these people. What's the code? Pinned comment, by the by, King Giovanni. 7V55X. So yeah.
But what I'm stating is, I'm fine with people moving over. Not everyone's gotten the bloody message yet. People are sticking around as long as they can for some of their people to also come over. And trust me, there's still people out there that may not have noticed that some people haven't moved over. There's still people that I follow a lot of them. Okay, I'm going to be a little bit biased on this one. A lot of those people are of either Japanese or Korean origin, and they don't have other socials at the moment, which is kind of bugging me. Or their socials are isolated to their country's platforms, which is really annoying. And it kind of sucks.
All right, fair enough. I
Yeah,
wasn't thinking
so-
like internationally. I was just thinking of like U.S., UK, and most recently Brazil, because you know Brazil got banned from Twitter, and it was just a case of like everyone moved to Blue Sky, and then when they came back, they were just like, you know, come to Blue Sky. It's better.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is not that they don't want to move.
What happened to?
It's more like some of these people. I'll be legit. They don't know.
Then
There are some people out there that are oblivious, or they don't understand what's really going on. But in my case, I think it's they don't fully understand what's going on.
Personally, I think it's more of a case, like, I think with the number of people that have not moved yet, because I'm gonna be real, like, the regular news has picked up on the everyone has started moving to, like, or not, sorry, not everyone, because as you noticed, Japan's not doing it, or South Korea, but point is, there's a lot of people that are, like, moving from Twitter to Blue Sky, and it's no longer just a thing of, like, oh, it's only in the tech furry group, it's only in the Brazilian group, it's only in the artist group. It's like, no, even the news, like, normal, like, you know, correspondents and shit have picked up on Elon Musk has irrevocably fucked up. And I feel like the only way that you're going to have, like, because here's the thing, Japan has their own social media. I feel like the only reason they go onto Twitter is just the simple fact that, like, corporations are still on Twitter. I think that's the only reason, is that people are staying there because the corporations, like fucking Dextero, Gizmodo, CNN, Fox, all those kinds of things, is like, rather than having, like, you know, actual, like, news feed, like, like, I'm gonna be real, the people that get their news from Twitter and that's it. Also, hi there, Heckin' Zed. If they don't understand at this point, that's a skill issue. You're moved on. Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, like, most of the people in my like, as Unnamed has pointed out, they've moved. They've taken the hit, but it's improved on their engagement, and they still have concerns about Blue Sky. Don't get me wrong, because as they, like, you know, they've introduced, like, a trust and what's a Mahuzi thing. They've gone through round A funding, where cryptocurrency has been doing a lot of the funding, but the team of Blue Sky is saying they're not doing any of that kind of nonsense. They're not introducing advertisers, and they've introduced someone with, like, you know, similar goal alignments as them to the, you know, C-suite level.
Like, yeah, like, this is what I'm saying, like, I'm someone who sees both sides of things, all right? And all sides. I play devil advocate a lot, and I play...
Wait, wrong button.
I pretty much play everything. So I look at it from an overall view rather than one side's view. I know that Twitter at the moment is a freaking shithole, and I still need to transition over. I haven't done it because I've been on a month break because I just need to focus on my work stuff, and I've been off my socials for actually over a month. You notice I've been off my socials for a month.
A little bit. I remember you said taking a break, and I thought it was like on a case of, like, you know, doing content creation engagements and what have you. I didn't think it was like a full-on month thing, and this is you kind of breaking the rules.
It's me focusing on what is it? Focusing on life things. Like, I am in the stage of improving my work life, focusing stuff on home, mental stuff or whatever. So I've been putting a big, my content stuff, my social stuff on the back burner because I just needed time to myself.
Tell me when.
Yeah, and obviously right now, like, okay, so when I say I'm playing devil advocate, I'm not supporting Twitter and what they're doing. I'm saying that the users that haven't moved over yet right? There has to be a reason some of them haven't moved over yet.
Because
you don't know, like, some of them could obviously, you got this small group of people that are advocating for AI, which I believe, what the hell is wrong with you people?
Okay, so because none of you in VC said when, and I had to see, and I only just noticed when Happy and Mio said when. The random items for these 4 races are red shell, 3 red shells, mushroom, 3 mushrooms, piranha plant, and speaker.
So we all got red items.
Yeah. It's a fear of losing their... Okay, here's my thing, and I'm gonna be real with you. Like, because of the whole, like, both sides nonsense, like, ever since 2016, I'm not, like, I understand playing devil's advocate and what have you, but I think we have grossly overemphasized the importance of, you know, this whole both sides thingy-majiggy, because here's the thing. Both sides are not of the same value or power. Like, there's been this thing of like, oh, let's visit both sides of the vaccine causes autism shit. They are not of equal strength. The one evidence of, like, you know, vaccines causing autism has been disproven time and time again. It's come from one article. The doctor is, like, you know, disrespected and all that kind of shit. But yet, you know, moms hold them to, like, the same power as, like, a fucking fleet of doctors. The U.S. election between, like, fucking Donald Trump and his cult-like behavior has been treated with the same value, and yet somehow, like, doesn't take on the double standard, like, you know, scrutiny nonsense. So, with the devil's advocate of, like, oh, there's maybe people who haven't moved from Twitter, I will accept there probably hasn't. But I'm not gonna think of it as a case of, like, oh, people are just sort of scared of going to Blue Sky because they think they're gonna come back to Twitter. It's like, the people that do that are just, they're stuck in the Skinner box of, I've tried so hard getting all these viewers, where a lot of them, they probably couldn't tell you whether a majority of them are coming from, like, you know, what kind of analysts or not, because they're not going to invest in analyst tools. So instead of, like, moving to Blue Sky and actually, you know, being the change that they want, instead they're just sitting on AI and just going like, oh, like, maybe enough people have moved to Blue Sky that Elon gets the message. No, Elon has not gotten the message, and there are some people who are on Blue Sky, as has been demonstrated by Twitter Blue and all the shit that's been happening, who want this. There are people on Twitter who want AI, who wanted the NFTs to stay on there, who enjoy the block button being, you know, toned down as far as it is, and who do not see the problem that it causes, and the possibility that, you know, Google or Apple is not actually going to care about the block function that has been changed, because there has been enough language put towards the update of the block button where, you know, Apple doesn't care because they're like, oh, no, it still functions to the minimum that we ask for our app developers. Because, you know, it still works for, like, private and personal accounts, but if you're a public-facing official, such as, you know, a celebrity or such, much like you just have to deal with the paparazzi in real life, you might just have to deal with people still seeing your tweets. What did Wolk say? I can't read while I'm also, like, trying to do the race. Sorry for being on a rant. It's just, I hear where the concerns are and such like that. It's just, if your concern is because of people still on the Twitter platform, then you're also going to have to contend with the fact that people are on the Twitter platform because they want to be on it as well. And then the question is, are you on them for them? Like, sorry, it's just, you also laughed, Wario. Nice, Wolf. Nice work, Wolf Zeta.
But anyway, I'm the kind of person that's, I like to see the whole picture. I'm someone who's interested in seeing the whole thing. Obviously, I will pick a side eventually. I am going to do the transition over to Blue Sky. I haven't done it yet because obviously I legit haven't done anything to my socials. I was meant to do something to my Discord server and I haven't done it yet.
I'm distracting you from all this, like, important work. Oh no, my inflated...
But the whole point is, like, I'm actually happy for people to change over to the blue sky. Like, I support artists
But you don't want
a
to.
lot.
Is it okay? Like, this is fine. You don't want to be told what to do. Like, that's a fair assessment.
I already been told what to do by so many people. I know what I need to do, which is I'm obviously going to transition later. Like, I'm going to get back into the swing of things soon.
But
Soonish, like.
you would rather do that when, like after your break, because this break was more for, you know, you IRL instead of you here on the internet and.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, like, as much as you want to help people out there, if you don't take care of yourself, it's not helping anybody.
Yeah. It's
Like,
the
trust
difference
me.
between being a lifeguard and recognizing when you're drowning. Because, like, fun fact, people that drown will normally drag other people down with them. And if you know about that, then it's like, you usually try and stop yourself from doing that.
Yeah. It's the same thing that applies with, you know, being on a plane when all of those oxygen masks come down. You need to help yourself first before you can help other people.
Yep, I understand. I pick up what you're putting down there.
And compared to a lot of people on socials,
Bookie for Bookie.
I'm actually not vocal on these sort of things. Not because I'm not supportive or anything. I just don't really like talking about it. I consider it another form of drama that is either A, I don't know enough about, or B, the whole thing is going to become messy. Like, right now, Twitter is a mess, and what does me adding to it accomplish?
Damn it.
When we all know that we could just do what we need to do and then move on.
The richest man in the world bought not the single most expensive item, a machine that allows you to hear the thoughts of billions of people, and they all have one thought: they hate him.
They hate him, obviously.
It sounds like a Twilight Zone episode, doesn't it?
That was a Twilight Zone like joke thing.
Yeah, love it. Damn,
Yeah,
I lost
yeah,
all my
that-
places.
paid
yeah.
me to say what is everyone talking about.
That's what it's like,
Love
and
Cookie.
Blue Sky and just the evolution of how internet drama is just, it's not constructive, and so there's, you know, some peeps who don't want to engage in it, which is understandable. Lord knows I do not want to engage with half of the drama that goes off online, but, you know, I've picked a horse in this race about, like, overall Twitter Blue Sky nonsense.
yeah,
I picked a Zeebs in this race.
I like to see it as, okay, I like some people's responses to this is, all right, they just stated plain and simple what's going on. I'm gonna go over to here. You'll find me here.
Yeah.
Simple, to the point. Like, by telling people that this is harmful to me, us, this specific group or whatever, and linking, here you go, you'll
Yay,
find me
baby
here
Kart.
on this and that.
Mm.
I like that because it means you're doing what we should be doing. We're getting straight to the point and just moving on to something better.
We are. Well, I hope the, like, you know, your break goes well and you actually, you know, do the improvements, and when you get back you'll do what you want. Oh, that did some crunch on my PC.
I understand it's regarding people's livelihoods. Like, trust me, the amount of people I try to support, I'm upset I can't support them anymore because some of them got taken off from Etsy due to their location and such.
Wait, Japan's not allowed
And
on
this is
Etsy?
all. No, not Japan. Like, I actually had some Russian.
Oh yeah.
Was it item makers? And they had to put out a sad note on their Etsy, like they can't use Etsy anymore because PayPal withdrew from their thing.
Yeah, a lot of people have gotten kind of caught in the crossfire there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't.
We're in a situation. We're in a situation where we got dumbass people in charge that is ruining it for everyone. It's drama between them, and then but it's not drama for a lot of people.
Wait, were they pulled out of Blue Sky because of the shit going off in Ukraine, or because of other shit?
Oh no. Wait. What do you mean Blue Sky? No, I'm talking about the
PayPal.
No, PayPal. No, they.
You said they were.
No, PayPal. No, PayPal pulled out of Russia because of the war in Ukraine.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so we're on the same page there. Damn it, I only came 7th again.
Yeah.
I've been doing terrible.
Remember when during that incident, a lot of Western companies and organizations pulled out?
Yep. And then Russia decided to be like, I know we have international copyright, but fuck that nonsense. Here's a Burger King that doesn't have to pay its fees to Burger King. So. Yeah. My name is Pal, pay me.
Oh
Sure thing, Bookie.
I just like to think of it as this is my stance on everything. The world's fucked. You currently got 2 wars going on. We got a freaking weird ass debate happening in the US. We got social media bullshit happening. And on top of that, the cost of living crisis that we're all having issues with. So, in my opinion, the world has pretty much been set on fire a long time ago. And we still got shit to do on. We still got shit on Twitch as well.
Yeah, I think the latest shit on Twitch is like, that's just. Here's the thing: is like I know of 2 things on Twitch. I know people are saying that VTubers are getting like hit more in bans like more than live tubers, which I feel like is a very like the only reason we think this is because a lot of us who are fans of VTubers probably only follow VTubers, and me, like I have like a number of friends that are VTubers themselves, but overall, I'm not going to take the opinions of policies from lollies and shotas, so no thank you.
What?
If you ever pay attention, like the people that are giving like the most rage about like Twitch rules and like the most recent one where they like tapped the sign about the attire thing, the people that gave the most complaint are people that have the money and had like the lewd outfits for like years now, even though the rules had said not to, or they're characters that are very lolly designed or very shoto designed, in which case, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? This isn't a Japanese site, this is an American site. There is, like, some, you know, ewness to looking underage on the internet. Hence why they've made it so it's like, oh, even if you, like, you know, joke about your age, if it's underage, you're banned. They're not fucking around right now. They cannot be asked.
It's very annoying with how things are. Like, and this is still being built upon a I would like to call a difference in community and culture. It's simple as that.
The number of the day
like,
is... Nice.
Like it's like trying to apply different standards to different communities. Like obviously, I know that on the eastern side, some things are a bit whack. All right, but there's also other stuff on the western side that is also whack. And it's still stuck in that cultural understanding.
Not to worry, Mio. Thank you so much for coming along. You too, Lizard. I really appreciate you joining in for a Grand Prix and the 4 races. I do appreciate it. All right.
But I like to think now that both sides are starting to
Hello, Digimon.
slowly understand.
Okay. It's the internet. I'm gonna be frank with you. The internet has predominantly been an American... Whoa. Where did he go?
Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa. What was the last thing he said?
I don't know.
I don't know. Did he... He said... I don't know if he had to leave or something like that. Or, like, the topics we were getting into were a bit, like, you know, touchy. But, like, these are the conversations I actually like having. Because it's, like, you know, actual engagement rather than just yes, man. Or yes, and.
If you want to be honest, these are the kind of discussions I don't like talking about.
Because it's confrontational to a degree?
It's... Essentially, it's confrontational, and in my opinion, I'm just like... okay, this is just from my point of view. Everything's fucked. I'm fucked over. We're all fucked over, and I can't take anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my opinion on it. Like, I know a lot of people like to be vocal on this. I'm happy for them to speak their voice and whatever, because me, them, we're all different. I try to avoid these topics for as long as possible, because it's always gonna end badly.
With these topics that do come up, like, as you've mentioned, you don't like engaging with these and what have you, but, you know, there will come times you will engage with these, such as now, for instance, with me, and, you know, a little bit of chat on the side, joining in with their commentary here and there. Are these topics, because they come few and far apart between for you, do you find that they're coming in sort of, like, you're coming in, like, rather late into, like, some of the emotional investment that the other side has joined in on? Because the thing is that, you know, Unnamed, for instance, as they've mentioned, like, they've been shadow banned, they've been AI pulled, they've got all this sort of stuff. Like, at this point, their enough is enough has reached a point of like, you know, they've gone for the opposite end of the spectrum for you of, rather than, you know, sort of regressing into, you know, I am only going to look after me, I'm not going to engage socially about this kind of thing. I'm like, everyone's going to have their little conversation. Rather than engaging in that way, which has its positives and its negatives, they've engaged on the other side, which is no, I am done pussyfooting around. I am going to say exactly what my issue is, and that is that, you know, people do not... Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, TheBookster, for the tier 1 gift sub to B1G_DJ.
Thank you for the gift sub to Big DJ. Thank you so much. You don't have to worry about any of the advertisement that normally goes off once in a while, and you get to utilize all these sub emotes. Look at them. Look at all these cool sub emotes. Actually, that was the right button. There we go. There's the right button. I don't think I've improved. Yeah, I've not update that message because it's missing the dad bod most recently. But yeah, like, I feel like, you know, yeah, enough is enough for a lot of people. But I feel like we have two different kinds of extremes that are coming in with the enough is enough peeps. It's that you're either gonna go, like, defensive like a turtle, where you're no longer wishing to engage about this stuff because you feel like there is no moving a needle for anyone like that, and you're just going to simply be, you know, I'm not going to engage, I'm going to do my thing, and that's that. Which, the benefit is that, you know, state of mind. Amazingly enough, you feel better after blocking people that are no longer warranted. You take your break for a month and such, you look at things that matter to you, health, food, finances, job, like, you know, third place friendships that you would have at, like, you know, a cafe or a pool table or what have you. It's great. But then comes the problem of, if you're not engaging, then you're not keeping up with, like, where everyone is and where your detractors are and where people you supported are going. Because come the other side, there's people such as Unnamed where enough is enough for them, and it's a case of, like, I'm done trying to, like, be moderate about this because the social contract of moderation only works when both sides are willing to, you know, accept and engage. But if one of the sides is not going to engage with us, you know, fairly, then like fuck social nonsense. It's one of those cases of we're not throwing bricks at like, you know, people and such like that because we have an understanding that that is not how we want to go through with this. But if we're getting someone that is not going to bother with like the social contract of being respectful and such like that, maybe throwing a brick at this point might actually help remind them why there's a social contract.
Yeah, like...
So, I think that's those are the two extremes.
Like, that is the two extremes. Like, for me personally, like, because you know how everyone's life is different,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta focus on what I need to do. For Unname's case, like, I'm happy that they're taking a stance.
Yeah.
And doing what they need to do, which is in this case transitioning over, trying to get a stance on Blue Sky, and then set themselves up there. Like that is really good on them.
And they've done it. Like it took them.
Yeah.
I think it took them a week. They're doing fairly well. It's growing. They're finding out some fun things. It's not like they're trying to recover like 5 years of work across 5 years. It's like, you know, probably a week, a month.
It's just you just need to tell people, oh, you're gonna see me over here now.
Oh yeah, no, they've been doing it.
Yeah,
you know
it's like and it's just that, and there's still people out there like me. I haven't gone looking at Blue Sky because
you've not been on the
as
internet.
I said before, I've been off.
No, you've been
like I'm just taking care of myself, and I'm not paying attention to socials because I'm worrying about where I'm at, which is I'm worried about my own finances. I'm worried about long-term stuff. And if for some people, if they want to know, I'm actually trying to save up for a house deposit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually trying to buy a house.
Would this be your first home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so in my mind, I'm focusing on important priorities.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm worried about my life. And for other people, they got similar priorities, but their approach is going to be different depending on what their way of getting income is, their career path, how they engage with this sort of thing and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I know for artists, it's really bad. It's really bad. You already got people tracing art. You got people training AI to copy art styles. And you also got people stealing art and selling it as their own.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I already know artists are going through so much bullshit that they don't deserve. And it's horrible. It's stupid.
It's just
I actually have a lot of sympathy for these artists, which is why whenever I post art, I always link it back to who did it. And some of those artists actually contacted me saying that they've suddenly got clients out of nowhere.
Yeah. Honestly, the behavior you do, I'm like, it's a behavior I do, and I feel like it's a behavior that every commissioner should do. There should never be a thing of like, oh, I don't want to tag them in this piece of art. What if they get all these notifications? Good. You paid them for your work. You didn't make it. You make sure that you want to make it as convenient and as easy as possible that when people look at your art, they're not thinking, oh, you made it. It's a case of like, that person right there, they made it. Like, there shouldn't be any, like, if I have to Google, if I have to reverse image search, that's too far. You've made it more inconvenient than you should have when all you had to do was post. Like, you don't need to be a social media coordinator.
Yeah, there's also the other thing, like, if you don't want to notify the artist every single time someone responds, you can just put a symbol in their handle or whatever.
No,
to just break the
I leave
the
that
link.
symbol. I leave that symbol in. Here's the fact of the matter is, it doesn't like.
No,
The artist
I'm saying
getting notification and shit is not on you. The artist is all of like the artist. If they don't want to keep hearing notifications and such, they can do that themselves. You are not like just as how you're not responsible for like the internet dramas and taking care of yourself. You are not responsible for how the artist manages their Twitter. Like I'm not adjusting how I'm doing my posts and such like that, like, you know, prior and after a piece of art I commission, because like, oh, the artist wouldn't do titties. I'm gonna have to make sure I don't present titties at another juncture in my profile. It's like, no, fuck that nonsense. They're gonna get added on this piece of work they did. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. If I do responses to people, sure, I'll just make it a case of it doesn't need to go to them. It just needs to go to the person I'm directly commenting to. But yeah, like. So.
Yeah, but then there's also, I'm saying this because there's some artists where there is a chance that some of them will say that they just don't want all of this. And what some people do is they put in another symbol in the handle.
Mm-hmm.
So all you have to do is if you want to find that person, you just copy paste that handle, get rid of that extra symbol, and you'll find them 100%.
Personally, but one step too many, quite frankly. If it's one of those cases where you're getting a piece of artwork from them, like, you know, 3 days in a row or something, and you're doing a new post, maybe then I can understand that. But if it's like, hey, that one time of the month you got a piece of artwork, it's like, no, I'm adding them on that one. Hi there, Izzy. Welcome back. What in the world is happening? Just got back from breakfast, and the last thing I heard was both citing Twitter, and I muted the stream after that. Oh my goodness, Blue, you made Izzy mute my stream after all the crazy takes I take. It was Blue that had Izzy mute my stream. Hi, Izzy. We're just talking about you know, just efficacy of like, you know, tagging artists and such. Actually, wait, Izzy, you're an artist. Yeah, can we get a shout out for Izzy, please? How do you, Izzy, as an artist, prefer to, you know, set up your posts and notifications? Nope, that kind of thingamadiggy doesn't work, Blue. We've moved on to using Twitter's thingamadiggies because, you know.
You mean Twitch's thing?
Twitch's thing. Sorry. They both have similar names, and I'm sorry I'm still dead naming X, but it's still a fucking stupid name. It's a fucking mathematical equation. I hate...
No,
it's a mathematical symbol.
It's more like you said Twitter instead of Twitch.
Yeah, I know. And then like, it's not even Twitch. I mistakenly said Twitter instead of Twitch. And the thing is that I'm doubly wrong because Twitter isn't even a thing anymore. It's X, but it's like really dumb fucking names and what have you. But yeah, welcome, Izzy. All right, we got 4 people. I feel like it's gonna consistently be 4 people in the thingamadiggies in the chat. All right.
I like to think of, was it? I wouldn't say 10 years from now. I would probably say within 20 years, or at least within our lifetime, a lot of changes is going to happen.
Oh,
a lot.
Okay, if you were talking about owning a home, I would understand. But
I'm talking about everything.
Oh, that's too broad. Like. This is
why
why no one
key
wants
points I would say. Yeah, there's key points I would say, but not on stream. All right, not on stream.
Oh my goodness. All right, tell me when.
When?
Banana. 3 bananas. Green shell. 3 green shells. Red shell. 3 red shells. Blue shell. Mushroom. 3 mushrooms. Gold mushroom. Lightning star.
What the heck is this?
It's a randomized thingamadiggy.
Yeah,
You said when.
Okay,
You're not particularly
we'll accept
interested
this.
stocking shop on stream right now. Fine. Moving on. There will be
on.
It'll probably be like a minute and a half because of advertisement and such like that of just like focusing on the game, having our silence, and there'll be another topic that will pop up rather than something that's like playing relatively close to everyone's sort of like, you know, social livelihood or, you know, shop talk and what have you.
Yeah, it's too close to home. That's the best way of putting it. Too close to home.
We'll have something. Oh my goodness.
Well,
Why are people picking
if you want to hear some interesting news, I am what is it? I'm currently waiting for a new ref sheet to be made. I gotta wait till I get paid next to commission another artist for a ref sheet. And I did discuss with that artist on how I wanted this particular thing. Like, do you offer it? Luckily, they're willing to do it. I just need to contact them beforehand before I submit the request.
Okay.
It's one of those things where, okay, like commissioning these artists, like they use Skeb and all that. I'm not sure if you heard of Skeb before.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing of it.
Okay, so Skeb is a Japanese platform for artists where you can submit requests to them.
Oh, like
and
Mishino.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. And what you do is you give them detailed instructions and references and whatever you need to give them, and they will do it. But you do not talk to them throughout the entire commissioning process. You don't talk to them on their socials, you don't talk to them on anything, you let them do the work, because the whole point of Skeb is that artists are able to do the work without being having to deal with their clients.
I'm gonna be real. That just sounds like Commission.io, where someone was just like, "Hey, the one of the best artists I worked with, never learned anything about them, never got to tell them any sort of edits after the first message. Best artist I ever got."
Yes, it's one of those things where you need to be very specific on what you're after, and if you're unsure about it, you can. Okay, luckily, you can check the previous works done by the artists on Skeb and see how other people requested for things, how they put out the format. Like, you know that stinger transition I got?
Yep, that came from a okay, I'm gonna be real with you. So, can you say the name of the site again?
Skeb, so S-K-E-B.
Okay. This might be the American in me, but it's a bit too close to Scab.
You gotta put emphasis on the E.
Did they capitalize the E? Or is this just one of those, like, Japanese translations?
No, it's just written in English. But a lot of Japanese artists will know Skeb straight away. The instant you just type Skeb, like, oh, okay, I know what this is, because they use it.
Oh, goodness. Who is at... Is that you, Blue, at the very front? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's me at the front.
Playing as
I was
Peach.
expecting a blue shell, but I didn't see one.
Nah, I didn't pick up any. I got some red shells, but I got lightning twice, so, like, I didn't see it.
Yeah. But, so yeah, the thing is with how Skeb works, you submit a request to the artist, you put down
Oh, hey, that's a new person.
what you want, the price, you dictate the price. Like, you got the minimum price they're asking for, and you can change it depending on whatever.
Can you
and
go
then the
lower
artist
than the minimum
will,
price, or...
You can change it to whatever you want, but keeping it above minimum is probably for the best, because the artist can either accept or decline your request.
Oh, so it's like a...
They have the option.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the option of either doing it or not doing it.
You did not count. I saw you do it on...
Yeah, I got distracted.
Okay, how are you getting... You know what? This month off stream, you're gonna get rusty. Cookie for Atomica!
Oh, trust me, I am rusty. Like, I've been focusing on so much outside. Like, if people want to know what I've been doing, I've been focusing on work. I've been revamping my office, taking my mind off socials and whatever. I actually haven't been in many Twitch stream chats.
Yeah, I noticed. Like, I think I've caught you, however, twice this week in my chat, however, but I feel like that's because I'm one of those people that just like knocks on your windshield wiper, just being like, "Hey, you wanna play some?
Yeah.
You wanna play some Mario Kart? Oh, blue shell.
I'm not in first, so I don't care.
Yep, and I'm out of coins.
Yeah.
This is such a popular map, but I have like barely any like control over it. I barely have like knowledge.
And I've been focusing on work to the point where I legit have been offered a chance for permanent.
Hey, nice! I remember that was like one of the things that was like kind of a bullshit thing, but that's actually pretty good because what that means is that like, sure, if you're like, you know, pulled off casually, you don't get the 25% pay bump, but it means that you get guaranteed leave and annual leave. If you demonstrate working for like 10 years, you also get long service leave. There's all sorts of employee benefits. By the by, there is definitely going to be more employee benefits than just the leaves and what have you. Especially if you have a HR team, because they most likely will do whatever they can to give you like weird nonsense, such as, oh, purchase from this store to get a discount instead of, you know, paying you more.
Yeah, there's also the thing of finally, if I'm actually sick, I don't have to take the day off unpaid.
Exactly. Like I said, sick leave. You're like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Australian government, like, isn't it like 4 weeks minimum annual leave, and that's outside of sick leave generation? Like 4 weeks a year.
And then you got, you can take leave, but there's also unpaid leave.
Hi there, Eka. Hi there, Sage.
But that's only if you, you know, run out of leave or whatever.
I was having a tough week, but I'm hoping yours is going better. Mine has improved. There was a few days where my weight plateaued, but I woke up this morning and I've actually lost half a kilo. I will be real with you. I have not had a Coke no sugar or a Pepsi Max for like this is my 3rd day now. I would like to have a Coke no sugar at some point in the future, but if the key to like losing a lot of weight is to not drink soda full stop, then I might need to incorporate that because I want to try and lose as much weight as possible before I go up to the United States in December. Because yeah, I'll have like best case scenario 10 weeks total on this shake diet, and then I'm gonna be up in the United States for like 2 or 3 weeks for Christmas and New Year's. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be a very fucking weird holiday if Trump wins.
Oh, trust me, I went to the US when Trump was elected as president.
Same
the
here.
First year, and I'm like, and I'm like, oh fuck. But getting away from that tangent.
Yeah, no, moving on. But yeah, I've not been drinking soda for like the last few days. Years ago, I actually went a month without drinking soda. So like, it's doable. But here's the thing, I don't have like, I'm not a huge like drugs and alcohol kind of person, and I know this is gonna be a shocker living in Australia, but I'm not interested in gambling. So like, my vices are things such as hamburgers and soda. I know, very gluttonous.
Gambling is a boomer thing.
Gambling is no.
Yes. Yeah, I've been serious. A lot of gamblers tend to be the boomers still.
I will admit that there is a good quadrant, but I can't go any further because like, I don't want to like explain this any further than I already have.
Yeah. But the whole point is, let's go back to the good vibes. I like to see people making progress on their life. Good progress.
Yeah. And
if you
go on.
Yeah, and I was thinking, if you crave for the sugary drinks, right?
Like,
you could always, rather than cut them out, you find a substitute instead. I'm not saying you substitute a soft drink with a soft drink. Find something else that meets what you want. Like, if you want something sweet, maybe go for actual juice, not that.
Oh, I can't have juice.
What do you mean you can't have juice?
So, all right. So, recap. I am on one of those VLCD diets. I have a very specific things that I can and cannot drink, and can and cannot eat. So, for instance, I need my 2 fruits a day. However, it cannot come from starches. So potato is out of the question.
Potato's not a fruit, man.
Vegetable, sorry. Point is, there is a number of things I can't. Yeah, I beat blue. Replace soda with Coke. The drug. You grossly overestimate how like social I am. I do not know any like investment bankers or anything like that. And let's be real with you. There is no furry that is taking drugs like that. They're too busy buying art. Any whoosies.
Or paying a fursuit.
Or paying a fursuit. That's the thing. The opium of the furry is the fursuit. Have you ever heard that phrase? The opium of the masses is religion.
Oh my god. Okay, so go back to the reason why you can't have said thing. Yeah, freaking Izzy, getting lightning bolted twice. I'm like, ow.
All right, hang on a second. So up to there is so let me just go to the site because it will like explain because it'll like this one has like a full like list of foods and what
oh no, not Baby Park again.
Yeah, Baby Park, let's go. Alrighty, so to give you context, I'm on an intense diet, which means all three of my all three of my meals are with a very low calorie deficit shake. So in the morning, I have espresso flavored Opti Slim. In the afternoon, I have a vanilla flavored Opti Slim. And in the night, I have a chocolate flavor Opti Slim. Yes, I went for 3 different flavors. I'm not going for banana. Fuck banana. Banana just I just can't do banana, both IRL and in the thingy. Any whoosies. While you're on that...
That's what she said.
Damn it, I don't have my...
You left yourself open to that one, alright?
Shut up. So there are some foods and some drinks that you're not allowed to have. Now, they do advise to you, having your 2 serves of vegetables still, because, it's necessary. But here's the thing, is that there's a number of vegetables that you cannot have. So, for instance, corn, green peas, legumes, lentis, potato, sweet potato, parsnips, pumpkin, and turnip. Those are, so like a mix of reasons, like those are like high starch and what have you. You cannot have those as vegetables. Alternatives you can have are sprouts, asparagus, bean sprouts, a beetroot, but only 30 to 40 grams, a carrot of only 30 to 40 grams. And by the by, like 1 serving of, vegetable is not 30 or 40 grams, so you can't just eat a carrot and be done. Yes! 3rd! I went from 7th to 3rd in the last ramp. Anyway, but yeah, bok choy. Apparently I can eat bok choy. Capsicum, cabbage, cauliflower, celery, cucumber, eggplant, green beans, not peas. You don't like banana?
How are you?
Yes, I don't like banana.
How are you surprised that you can eat bok choy? Bok choy is mostly water.
Okay, cool. Point. Oh, onion. I can eat, if I wanted to, I could eat an entire onion.
Realizing I hate lightning. Freaking...
Noted. Hang on a second. Are you, like, sitting in the VC or some nonsense? No, you're not. Alright, I need to keep an eye on that. And then, so, rather than have this as full screen, I'll put this on the side. Additional low-energy foods I could take. Stock cubes, Bonox, quote-unquote, in moderation. Hi there, Star Kuma, welcome to the stream. Vegetable soup made from the allowed vegetables, and miso soup. Hey, miso soup! I can get that from a sushi train if I ever join in with friends.
I highly recommend miso soup. Because obviously, if it comes with seaweed, you get your iodine intake, so you don't have to rely on iodized salt.
Yeah. Hi there, Metal Sword. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope you're doing all right. All right, what did I miss? So, Noetica said hi. Sage was wondering what was going on. Good job. No Dr. Pepper for the pajama hoss. I don't get Dr. Pepper. I do want to try it again at some point, but I think that's going to be a US thing. But at the same time, it's full of sugar. I really don't want to, jump onto it, and I don't know if Diet Dr. Pepper is a thing. I've heard that the best way to start losing weight is to stop drinking sugary drinks. Yes, you are absolutely correct, Big DJ. That's why I'm on the no sugar ones. Like, I talked to a dietitian. Here's the thing. 2 weeks ago, I talked to a dietitian. This is, like, I'm not on this shake diet because of, like, the advice of, you know, someone in chat or anything like that. This was advice that was given to me by a dietitian after observing, like, how low I can go on days with meals and what have you. And then there was like this fun little thing of like, oh, these are the fruits, these are the veg that you cannot have. And then I was like, what about these no sugar sodas? Because I'm very much susceptible to those things. And he's like, you're fine with the no sugar ones. You only have to worry about cancer, but to be real, it's in the same level as... Look, yes, you don't have to worry about cancer as a very weird... You only have to worry about cancer as a weird thing.
Right.
But it's in the same realm as having your phone on you all the time increases your risk of cancer kind of thing. To be fair, living in this world increases your chances of cancer. Even if you go to your grave, you have a chance of cancer. Thank you for the follow, DrewZ1988. Oh my god, someone put their age in their fucking Twitter account, Twitch.
I personally don't recommend diet versions of drinks.
No, because they have...
Because of the other shit they put in there.
You know what the interesting thing is that I've learned, like, that's being used as a marketing thing? They've made... So, diet drinks are given a different taste to make it seem more like an actual alternative to the original drink. Medicines have been purposely made to taste not as good so that the efficacy feels stronger and such. Oh my gosh! Who's that in the stream waiting? Hello.
Hello.
Oh my... You okay? You good? You look...
Yeah, I'm alright.
Alright, cool. That sounded quiet and like you're a big bunny.
Oh, I don't know why I'm quiet.
Nah, you just confidence. You need to be confident. You need to raise the voice. You need to be like, whoa, I'm
up the game.
I am joining in on the Mario Kart.
Yeah, sorry, just kind of not really feeling all that great at the moment.
No, understandable. It's the evening. People have stuff going off IRL and what have you, and this is meant to be a sort of escape. Granted, we do talk about some very real topics, but even while on the internet, you cannot escape from the things on the internet.
Yeah, but we're trying to minimize that. I'm actually trying to go off the tangent when we encounter those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I recommend, like, if you want alternatives, like, I do flavored water, like,
soda streams
and tea.
Oh, tea.
No, I don't use, no, when I mean flavored water, I just get filtered water and add, like, lemon juice.
Oh. Wait, you just put
lemon,
lemon juice extract in the fucking water? Is that what you're doing?
Like, it's pretty much me squeezing a lemon into some water.
Oh my god.
Or, like, I could do that thing where I could do cucumber water with mint.
That explains why there's that fucking, like, picture of you with the fucking sucking lemon thing. I thought that was just because you like The Simpsons, but no, you actually suck lemons?
Like, it's a way for me to just also kick my want for soft drink.
By going, by sucking lemons.
I actually brew Japanese green tea and have it in the fridge as, like, no sugar, just water and tea. So I can have an iced tea.
Excuse me. Alrighty. Wait, are you in the game, Echo, or am I tweaking?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
You're tweaking.
Yeah, that guy. But yeah.
I'm right there in front of you.
Nice. Hi there, Mama Bear Baiju. Welcome to the stream. Mind if I come and vibe? Oh yeah, you don't have the.
Hi, Baiju.
Hi Baiju. I love how you're just like, hi, honey.
There's also a natural sweetener called stevia.
Yeah.
Which
have not.
I actually recommend as an alternative. Like, if you want sweet stuff but you don't want to add sugar, stevia is a good option because it doesn't have the same negative effects as sugar. But obviously, eating too much of one thing is still bad, like anything. But stevia will help deal with if, like, it helps people like that are diabetic as well.
I don't think I'm
like, you
diabetic.
get something sweet.
I've taken like 2 tests. Stevia tastes blah though. Oh, hi Sash! Welcome to the stream! Welcome! Do you have Mario Kart? Also, someone tell me when.
When?
Flower, boomerang, and... So, plants. We're playing plants. Hey, no lightning!
Oh, I see. We're playing Australian rules. Got it.
Australian rules. Can you join the race?
Nature is trying to kill us.
Drew. It is a community event. Everyone can join, even you. Yes, you there in the chat, lurking right now. God damn it. I got hit by the cactars. Everyone can join. If you have a Nintendo Switch and you're playing Mario Kart 8, you are welcome to join. Pinned at the top of the chat is the room ID, 7V55X. Everyone can join. I just have a few people in the VC because I'm lonely and I really want friends, and so I send personalized invitations to all these fun little beings here, and I have a wide variety of friends. I have the Twinkie Inky Fox, and I have the Buff Bunny. I also
What the fuck?
Look at you! Go on.
Excuse me.
He says, wearing a fucking...
What are you saying?
Look at him!
I'm just happy that I'm a bean.
You're just happy you're a bean. So yeah, like, look at... Also, I got blurred. Damn you. Oh, Moo
You got
Meadows.
censored for your crimes. You got censored for your crimes.
You're watching will be in the next race.
Meadows.
Not to worry. I wish I saw your message earlier. I would have like said all this nonsense like prior to me hitting start. Thank you for the hyper himbo though. I greatly appreciate. Hi there, Soup on the Will. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Do you mind if I call you Soup?
Get boomeranged.
Ow. Oh no.
Okay, who's fireballing the cows?
Amazingly enough, you can actually hit the cows and they'll like jump up and such, which is a good way to like avoid what's my disease. Can you throw the boomerang backwards?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. But after the last shot, it'll just go backwards all the way.
Okay.
Get back here, Grant.
No! Oh damn it! I wasn't able to get over there.
Well, Izzy, at least you don't have to deal with
I
lightning.
assume that is no
in this
to
race.
vibe in VC. You know what? Fuck it. I don't have too many people in the VC personally right now. I don't have too many people. So because normally if it does get to 8 people in the VC, but like a number of them are not the racers and such, and it's like the personally invited, I might need to do some adjustments. Hi there, Ripper. Yes, it's going well. Welcome. You are so far behind on the time. But yeah, there should be just a channel that's like stream waiting room and such. Check out the Discord link in order to find out where it is.
Check out the Discord link for more information.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and check out Zeeb's throne when you get the chance.
Oh yeah, hang on. Check out my throne. Thank you, Big DJ, for doing the Discord thingy-majiggy. So yeah, I now have my streamer bot it listens to my conversations, but I only let it when I run it, so it's not like Siri where it decides to just pick up whenever the fuck it wants. So yeah, anytime I say some key phrases, it will do things. I should probably check in with people being like, right, I need some secret phrases that you...
I love piranha plants so much.
Do you really?
No, I don't. As soon as I pass somebody by hitting them, they just hit me in retaliation.
Just waiting for your Switch
Oh,
to
yeah,
get charged.
I kinda hate them.
Boot up. Not to worry, Ripper. There's a Discord link?
Oh yeah.
Although, oh, hello, there's people coming in. All right, so...
Oh yeah, Izzy, I noticed that you got an Australian
I'm gonna
account.
vibe with them. And then there's Izzy. Hello. Hi. Oh my goodness, Izzy, look, they're an ice cream.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so eepy.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to send Jack more ref sheets.
I'm so eepy.
Why are you so eepy?
Because I did a lot of drinking, you know this. I drank a lot earlier, and then I took a nap, and now I feel better. I just have a headache, so I took medicine.
You're a sleepy drunk.
You probably should be drinking some water, honey.
I'm drinking water, apple cider, and pain medicine.
I see Soup is in the waiting room. I'm gonna be real with you, Soup. I don't know who you are.
Soup joined, I assume, because I was there.
Ah, okay. Who's...
They tried talking to me, and I just didn't want to talk to him, so I didn't say anything.
I think Soup wants to... Okay, this is always the... Oh, goddammit, I didn't do the timing correctly. This is one of the tricky parts of doing community streams, is that, like...
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why I do personalized invites and
The
stuff
tricky
like that
thing
to
about
peeps and I
community
give them,
streams
like,
is that the community wants to join you.
They want to join.
Oh, you thought?
They want to join, but the thing is that, like, my VC... I kind of do vibe checks with people before I let them come into the chat, and the easiest way to do that is during non-streaming time, I've either chatted to you or I've, like, hung out in your streams or something like that. So, I don't chat too
you've
often.
been to my stream a few times.
Yeah. So, I don't know who they are, unfortunately, so it's like... It's not like... Are they a moderator for you, or...
Wait, great.
Me?
Talking to my wife.
Yeah, no, I was just wanted to do that double check because, like, yeah, there's been
That's
few few times I've added people to be able to be like chatting in my VC, and it's usually been cases of like, oh, I'm already friends with this person, and this is their like moderator that they've already like. There's been like a first-hand like second-hand account for them. If it's been a case of like, oh, they've been in my chats and stuff like that, hard to say. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know them.
Yeah, no, that's alright. But yeah.
I get very uncomfortable around new people.
I use streaming as like a sort of really shoddy means of like meeting new peeps and such. Like that's honestly how I found out about Blue Foxy and ICIC. Like
Freaking Zeebs, get back here! Stop trying to vor me!
No. Get fucked.
Oh wait,
It's
shiz.
nice not having to deal with plants all the way at the front. It's great.
I just realized I'm accidentally Tyra. I'm not even Baiju right now.
I'm using the wrong personality in this stream. Alright.
Yeah.
One of the other peeps in the thingies. So yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure this is the first time Soup has been in one of my streams, so it's like one of those fun ones. Alright. Bam. Came fourth.
Soup.
So yeah. Sorry, Soup.
What do you mean you're at Soup?
I'm at the soup store!
I just want to mention the previous race. I wanted to type, oh, I'm feeling a bit bad. I woke up on a bad foot. And then the piranha plants made me... No, sorry. And I said, I wanted to type in chat saying, if you want me to get into voice chat, you're going to have to act...
You're going to have to what?
Piranha plants got me so mad I decided to come in here and then start yelling.
No.
Damn.
I'm not the one who picked the plant.
Like I'd come join, but I haven't had caffeine yet, and we haven't had... And we don't want Road Rage Sash? Yes, we do. I don't know who told you this, Sash, but I'd appreciate your company. You're one of my moderators. We vibe. We have a great 8 thing, and we haven't played Final Fantasy XIV together in a long time. I know, like,
My brain is soup.
I know we're two different kinds of introverts. Like, I'm an introvert that's like a fucking bottle rocket with my energies and what have you, and you're more of a, diesel engine introvert where it's like it takes a while. But the point of the matter is I love socializing. It just, takes energy and shit. Get fucked.
I only love socializing when it applies to me.
Exactly. I don't gain energy.
I don't like other people.
God damn it.
Someone comes up to you, please go away. You go to someone else, hey, guess what? You wanna do things?
It's like when you go for art commissions. It's like, there's some people where you're like, I don't know how to approach this person. You need to do an announcement stream. You need to give me Google Forms and such. But then you have that other artist where you're just like, Izzy, I have an idea.
Hey, it'd be really funny if these two characters were to, I don't know, parkour into a brick wall.
That's essentially what I did with Izzy. One of the best works, I'm gonna say, that I've gotten both as transactionally and end result. Sorry Izzy, I'm gonna glaze you for this one. Izzy the Fat Cat is an amazing artist. She's on like a, you know, art break, like she does like a once a month thingy-majiggy, as she pointed out in the chat earlier. But a month or two ago, she did for me an art piece featuring Usaki and Scribbly Noodle. You know that pose in all the Marvel versus Capcom games where Cyclops is dapping up Ryu?
I'll be 100% real with you. I have no idea what the hell you were talking about.
Alright. God fucking damn it. Alright. This is gonna take...
I don't know any of the people you referenced unless they're either Cyclops or Ryu.
Damn it.
And I have no idea what you're talking about with Marvel vs. Capcom.
Damn. Alright, I'm gonna need to pull up some images at the end of like our 4 races and such. Let me finish dealing with season bullshit then.
It's gonna need some show notes for the explanation. Anyway, hi everyone.
Hi Ripper, welcome to the stream. How are you feeling?
My Switch finally hit the 1% battery so I can turn it on, so I'm in the game now.
Nice, excellent, good to hear. So yeah, we're running with custom items, and it's one of those cases of, like, I'll just be clicking the random button over and over again until someone says when, and I'm gonna be real with you, if we do get an item pack with lightning or something, I think I will do a veto on that one, because enough times it's happened, and I've already heard people being like, fuck that shit. Ah! The dragon!
It's a man of democracy.
When you said custom items, I 100% thought you meant that Luigi's gonna pluck Glock on me.
What the fuck? Not those. This isn't a modded... you can't modify Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
I would beg to differ. I've seen it happen.
You can. You know, with that attitude, you can't.
You can, but for certain reasons, I'm not telling you how.
For reasons
for
because
legal reasons with Nintendo.
Because I'm being recorded right now, I ain't gonna explain
now.
shit, is what I'm hearing. It's like when everyone hears about, oh man, that's such a cool looking render in Final Fantasy XIV. How do you do that? And then the G posers are just like, shh, don't tell them.
Shush, the Pinkertons are coming to your house.
We did it in Blender. Totally.
You do it in Blender.
Yeah, about to share the secrets of modding Mario Kart, and suddenly, hey, what's this red dot on my forehead?
There's funny red dots all over my body. I can't touch them.
Okay, what do you think is stronger? Nintendo's marketing when they do Nintendo Direct, or Nintendo's legal team?
Nintendo's legal team.
The legal team.
They need to sue everybody that uses an asset that is somewhat similar to them. Of course, it's their legal team.
Grant, you're
And
assuming that they're not the same
direct
people.
narrators fucking suck. Jesus Christ.
The direct narrators sound like that they sound like that they got paid extra to sound like they don't want to be there.
I think, well, that's just for their translators, right?
No.
Like, because here's the thing, I do not understand Japanese, so I have to get the English translation.
They mean for like the game announcements as well. Like the narrators for them generally are very like generic.
What do you?
For some reason, the only thing that is coming to mind is the Mario and Sonic Winter Olympics when introducing one of the Eggman variants.
I can't take that seriously, considering, like, you know, we have fucking Super Smash Bros. Where it's just like, Mario, Sonic, Princess Peach.
When was the last time that you've watched a Nintendo?
Eggman! Eggman! I'm not gonna say that word!
Ganondorf.
I
wonder.
Oh my god, the more
I forgot he existed.
The more you talk about Eggman, the more I think of that, was it Sonic Adventure 2 thing? Where, was it Eggman being on the speaker talking about Sonic's dick or something?
Oh my god.
Shadow the Hedgehog! My wife!
Who posted news on Twitter.com?
On Twitter.com!
So I'm gonna destroy the moon!
The moon. God bless.
I'm gonna blow up the moon, Sonic! One of my favorite things is Lethero voicing over Eggman. I have a wife!
I miss my wife.
It's just like, gold this! You can't pull out the Nokia!
No, it's the same person. It's Paperbox. It's Paperbox.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I'm fucking dumb.
Oh, when they...
I miss my wife tales.
I miss my wife tales is definitely one of the classics.
It is a classic,
Lines
and
are
then
full
the
of
all around me are familiar faces. I'm back in the fucking building again.
I'm back in the fucking building.
Oh my god, that was incredible. I was worried that my mic,
great.
it would, keep the quality. I need to learn how to make it so it's like my mic is just like, oh, you're running with like 256 bits of quality. Let's lower that down to like 86.
I know how to do that. It's just right now it's escaping me. Because I'm really focusing on censoring myself for your stream.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
That's not what you want to hear.
Because listen, if it was my way, I'd be flirting with my husband this entire time.
Oh my god, who is your husband? Who would you possibly be flirting with?
It's Aiko.
Yeah,
It's me.
I was being like, what's the word?
Oh,
Sarcastic.
you were doing a bit.
I was doing a bit because I was like zooming in.
I was trying to do a bit.
I was trying to do a bit. I
honestly,
zoomed in, and if I had my free hands, I would zoom in even more. But I haven't like done a thing to like do the move thing of like rather than it being like exact values, just being like I need to have a different folder where it's like custom control, where it's like enhance, pan.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm very grateful for your subtitles because now it gives me 2 reasons to look at my husband's chest. I'm looking very respectfully.
Very, very respect. Look at that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 people. All right, I'm good. So, if you want to join in the race, Thingamadiggy is found pinned. Give me 1 second. I am going to need to provide references so that Mama Baiju will understand the cool art that Izzy did for me as like, and this all founded because of a bit. Like I need this.
Please don't tell me I'm about to gaze upon snuff.
No. No. All
It's
right.
Mortal Kombat things, not Street Fighters.
Oh my god. I was like, whoa.
Alrighty. So since you are
I tried SF6.
Since you are in the VC, you are welcome to look at that image here. And then I am going to try and say...
Oh.
He's going up for the dap.
To see the message history of Zebra streaming.
Crap, where's my copy of Mario Kart? Alright, I need to take a quick drink. Alright, let me show you. So this is the... God damn it. So for those of you on stream, this is the image from Marvel vs. Capcom. It's Ryu and Scott Summers, aka Cyclops from the X-Men, about to fucking dab it up. I'll give you a minute before I present to you the art that was made featuring and like fucking amazing work by the by. Like this cannot be. There, hang on, where's the thingy-majiggies? I put it in gift art because it's like a weird thingy-majiggy there. Cyclops speaks really big game for someone who doesn't have depth perception. He does have depth perception. All right.
He has 2 eyes. It's just he can't use both of them.
He's just purposely blind, like making himself colorblind. Behold.
He only sees red.
Oops, hang on, let me shrink this down. Behold. Let me actually get the image.
Oh, it's so big.
So I will say, just on a side note, I was gonna post some art here. I didn't make it, just full disclosure.
It's okay.
I'm gonna be participating in a D&D campaign. And oh god.
Where is the...
Also, that is amazing.
Yes. So let me do a side by side. Oh, wrong. That's the sickle thing. Here it is.
Did I ever send you the updated version? I don't think I did. Whoops.
All right. Hang on.
I will be participating in a D&D campaign, but like all of our characters are hamsters. So I took my Tyra model and I'm like, all right, D&D time. Use this if you want.
All right.
And they made me a PNG model of my hamster. So I can use as my reactive, and it's so good.
Nice.
Please tell me Minsk and Boo are gonna be in the campaign.
There we go. Look at this work.
I have no idea.
Amazing. Also, hi. Well,
it is.
Didn't know there were homies like that. Scribbly Noodle
That is
and
way
Z
too good.
are definitely homies as well. The joke as well in their chats is they're the BJ bros whenever they do duos.
So you know, you said
BJ
Scribbly Noodle and
bros?
Z. You meant Kusaki and Z, right?
Kusaki and Z, sorry. Yeah, look at that.
I thought you were doing a bit, but then you kept going.
Thank you
It's
for
okay.
correcting
It's
me.
okay.
I've been there before.
Yep.
I wish
It's
you
okay.
could see my face right now. I'm sitting here, both hands on my forehead, rubbing my temples for 2 reasons now.
Because of BJ Bros.
Yeah, because of BJ Bros.
Me, whenever I
Oh my
see 2 men hanging out.
gosh.
Oh, look out. It's the BJ bros.
I feel like it's you and Aka each time you get together.
Oh, are we BJ bros, Eka, already? I thought we were just acquaintances at this point. We BJ bros?
Grant's like, damn, I didn't know we were like that.
Damn, me neither.
I feel like the relationship is progressing way too quickly.
I haven't even commissioned you for some art.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were gonna get around to actually doing that.
When you said you were like, hey, I'm open for commissions. I am an introverted person, okay? The thingamadiggy I had with Izzy here was because of the fact that, like, you know, one, Izzy is just like a shit poster of a typer in chats and what have you, and they were apparently gonna get back at Scribbly Noodle with a piece of art at some point in the future, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I have an idea. And apparently, even after they did this amazing work, they're gonna do another piece of art for Scribbly Noodle and what have yous.
Oh, that's already done.
Oh, what?
Have you not seen it?
No, I think I've seen, like,
God, I am not
progress.
keeping you up with this stuff. Hold on.
You
I
gotta
genuinely
find it.
feel so bad because I commission Aka like pretty much every day.
your
And I just keep piling work on it, and I completely forgot. I asked them to draw my emotes for my server.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's some tough work, because that's like, unless emote work is in their wheelhouse, I feel like that is a learning experience, not of technical skill, but of like theory.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like no matter what they give me, I feel like it's gonna be good, just because of how they do art.
Where?
Oh my god, just glazing echo. on
Where?
their
Are you
art.
kidding me? You do amazing art.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say where.
Where?
Oh yeah, I forgot to do this.
What did you forget to do? Oh, you forgot to throw a Nibiru at Izzy. Got it.
Also, Aka, I wasn't expecting you to post that art in the server. I was like, oh, you're posting that publicly. Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Okay. What was I gonna say? So, am I okay
in
for
my server,
posting
not-
the blue
In
sky
my
into the
server,
chat?
not in yours.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, for those of you that want to know more of Izzy's cool work, is this like a continuation of the previous commission?
Yes.
Nice.
Z specifically wanted to animate it because there is like a video out there where they edited both the pictures together, the original MVC things.
I'll be real, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit jank, because the first thing I noticed, and I think you already picked up on it as well partway through, the dabbing arms between what I have
Yes,
on
I
screen
know.
is flipped. It's fan-fucking-tastic. It's more, because I think I know why. That pose there you have of Z and Kusaki, that's from Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and
No.
Dillinger?
See, the pictures you have on screen right now, that's fan-made. That's not official MVC art.
God damn it!
The official one looks like the one that I made, the one I linked just now.
Damn. I fucked up on the original.
And when Z asked for this commission, I wanted to flip the arms back so I could so it'd be like properly continuous.
Yeah.
But he told me no, keep them wrong, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Keep them wrong. How dare you? Now at some point in the future when I have more money, I'm gonna have to commission you again, and we're gonna have to be like, right, we're gonna need to do this again, but we're gonna need to flip the arms. And before you know it, Z is gonna have like an entirely different body type or something. Did you see one of his posts? Like, he saw, like, there was like this thing where I think it was both you and another artist did like a more, you know, bulkier Scribbly Noodle. Looked really good.
Heckin' Jesus, Izzy. I went to your thing. It's just big women. And I'm like blushing.
Big women. Oh no.
Big women.
An artist
big
that I
women
follow,
supremacy.
that I adore, that I commission, has made big women before.
Love big women.
Oops. All large.
The average size of people on my timeline did go up when I started following Izzy.
And Izzy just draws me being a scrunkle.
Yeah, because you are a scrunkle.
It's time to scrunk.
Look at you. Fucking look at Blue. Go through your different, because you have like your PNG, why is there a Peter Griffin in my, like there's a Peter Griffin.
Yeah, I exclaimed loudly when Peter showed up.
I'm like, you didn't notice?
I noticed now. I was distracted talking to you guys, to everyone.
Yeah, one of the AI left, and then Peter Griffin came walking over the America there, like just like, what are you doing?
Turn around, you goddamn me. Look at him, it's Peter Griffin!
The balls on his face are even 3D.
Mario Kart with a bunch of furries?
Oh, bye, Peter.
Oh, bye, Peter. Damn.
Oh my god, that is Peter Griffin.
Alright.
I miss Mr. Griffin.
Alright.
Oh, and he's gone.
Alrighty, yeah, he disappeared. Alrighty.
He left us just as quickly as he joined.
Yep, no, just in our memories alone. Alrighty. I think more racing. Alright.
I still got a commission, Izzy.
All the Scrungle art has been Izzy just wanting to play psychic damage to you.
I am psychic damage.
Oh, hello, Shoto. Oh, damn, Soup. I didn't realize you.
Yet I got Kusaki to express deliver you a barrage.
What?
Oh, what?
At WAF.
Oh, okay. I was so confused. When Blue said
hanging out with
you,
Wizzy,
I thought he was referring
with
to
Izzy at
me.
WAF was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Izzy had a wonderful time in WAF, didn't you, Izzy?
She drew us. Yeah. She drew some of us gift art, and I killed her a little because I was just like, "Hey Izzy, yeah, I love all the art you've drawn of us. Why am I the only one with my feet out?" And she's like, "You can't do this to me."
Say that. That is slander. I was like,
alright.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Sashera, tell me
a moment of realization.
At first you're like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." It's like, "No, it's fine." Also, hi Sash.
Dear Jeebus.
I sneak it in.
Also, Aka, I sent you a little something.
Alright. Since Sash isn't saying when, anyone else in the VC say
When?
Blue
I'm
shell, 3
currently
reds, a
spectating.
gold, a bullet bill, a star, and a boo.
Yeah, sure, I can do this.
Fine, I'll change to what I use for Mario Party.
Oh, you got a Mario Party? Let's see. What do you... Oh my goodness! Look at this fashion fiesta with their.
I was gonna say, that's gonna have like some type of, you know,
what,
yellow colored dress.
Because no one will let me pick any other character for Mario Party because they all scream Daisy now, Daisy now.
Sure.
I did notice that on the Nintendo rewards thing. I was taking a look at that because someone I know is just like, "I'm out of points and I want the Echoes bag," or whatever the new Legend of Zelda is. And it's like I want the tote bag, and I was looking on there, and I'm like, "Oh, good! I can get like a paper fan of Daisy beating the shit out of Waluigi. I'll pick one of those up." Because they got the Jamboree paper fan set. I really want to pick up Mario Party Jamboree because I really want to play the Fall Guys mode that they've got. I expect it to be terrible, but I want to play it.
If granted, probably not the best time just because it was like, you know, late, you know, expressions of interest. I was tempted to do a Mario Party Jamboree stream for October because, you know, it came out like, you know, a few days before today or last week. But one, I didn't have the game myself, and two, the few people who normally pick up Mario Party Jamboree were also not looking to pick it up immediately.
I know Natsu and I we want to do something about with it as well, but it's just like, hey, it's so there was getting it digitally, which was like $80, or there was getting it holy shit, I'm first? I'm not used to that. No wonder the blue shell's kicking my ass. Anyway, and me personally, it's like I was just gonna grab it off of like Amazon because it's usually cheaper to get like first-party Nintendo games physically, which feels so weird.
It is weird. Yeah, physical Nintendo.
It's like $18 cheaper to get it through Amazon than it is to get it on the eShop.
Which I do not understand. Isn't the whole point of physical media is that it costs more because, you know, physical?
Yeah, but it's Nintendo.
They want to charge you for each little thing.
It's been like that since like the Wii U.
I think I got Jamboree for like $69.
Nice. But yeah, I think the best price for right now is like 62 if you like look around. But it's still this whole thing where it's like, God damn it, I should use that. It's still $62, and it's like I just don't have that. I mean, I've got money for like dumb stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't have like game money. Like not on a whim. It really sucks because I was really excited about it. It's just that, you know, it's like. I had to buy a new phone because I was affected by that whole 3G shutdown thing, so it's like...
Wait, you were still on a 3G phone up to this day?
No, it's just that I was on a phone that wasn't bought in Australia, and they started blocking them, so hooray.
What's 3G?
3G is a signal level, so... in Australia loves their wireless. They do not bother doing like proper infrastructural change for wired connections, but wireless, oh, they're fucking hard on for it. Anywhoosies, 1G would have been interpreted as a, you know, telephone lines and such. 2G was when they did mobile phones with, you know, voice and text. 3G was when they introduced wireless, where you were able to have a stronger connection and, you know, more bits and such traveling, which meant you can do a little bit of web browsing as well.
Are we up to 4G or 5G
We're
now?
up to 5. Everyone's...
We're up to like 5G millimeter wave, which is like a subset of 5G.
Here's the good news is really great speeds. Bad news, tree leaves can block the signal, so you kind of need to do this like...
What?
Yes.
Yeah, it's because it's such a high frequency signal.
Basic physics. The
boy,
higher
do we have
the
a lot of
frequency-
fucking trees.
Yeah. The higher the frequency, the greater, like, things that can interfere and such. So, like...
Damn.
Yeah, I know. So, in order to, like, you know, make 5G worthwhile, you basically need to have, like, all these, like, signal things going up in the, So it's like some people are, like, basically almost every street corner. You have to treat it almost like a Starbucks in Los Angeles to make it, like, you know, applicable for the city because, you know, whatever can block your signal. Which is why, for instance, Telstra was, like, predominantly a better choice of an ISP for me, for mobile, up in the Sunshine Coast, because it operated at a slightly lower wavelength than all the other providers, which meant that it had more penetrative power when I was inside buildings. So there would be people that are like, I can't get a signal while inside. Whereas me on Telstra, it's like, I've got full bars.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, for all their faults, Telstra usually has had better coverage in Australia.
It's almost as if they had
it's also
the
one of those
government
things
to
where it's just
help
like,
them, and then the government was like, yeah, we're going to privatize this thing to try and make money.
Yeah.
Taking all
it's
the
also
worst
like,
lessons from America.
also, moo fart. Anyway, it's
Here
also...
we go again.
Yeah, it's... The whole, like, 2G, 3G shutdown thing's been, like, really controversial because we're the only country in the world to really do it. So, like, there's a lot of medical devices that are no good. Like, I got a family member who's got, like, a CPAP machine that, like, uses 3G to, like, send the data back to their doctor. And now they have to start bringing the SD card every week.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and there's, like, there's a lot of fire alarms and security alarms that are just going to stop working. And it's like, yep.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
That does not seem like a good idea.
It's Australia. I'm gonna be real with you. Australia is, like, I had to do, like, research and such like that because someone decided to post in my Discord of, like, Australia is the most AI-addicted country in the world, and I was like, this is such a fucking engagement title. What are you talking about, 9 News? And so I had to do digging, and it was like a, oh my god, someone changed this. So I did some digging, and it turns out that they're not talking about, like, you know, Australia investing in AI, which is still the United States, but I'm gonna be real with you, anytime you deal with money in a global setting, the United States is kind of gonna spend more than anyone else because their GDP is just fucking huge. It ruins all stats. But yeah, in Australia, the number of companies that are engaging in AI systems, the end users using DALL-E or Midjourney or ChatGPT for searches and engagement, it's higher per capita than any other country ever. Like, you're beating out China and India and the United States. It is an average, like, with the population of like 10 million people, an average of like 1.4 searches per person per day.
We're also one of the, we're also like per capita, like, do like some of the most gambling in the world. Damn, that was close.
No, there's
some of the most like gambling in the world as well. Like, we're even like higher than like places that are destinations. So like there's destination countries for gambling. Like I think Singapore's one of them, and even that, like, we beat them.
It's not just that. It's also
gambling
debt.
problem.
Yeah, Australia has a gambling problem where it's like if you took all the gambling debt and distributed it evenly across the citizens, each person would have $600 of gambling debt.
The last time I looked, it was like 400, so I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah, it's around those.
But yeah,
numbers.
it's like, yeah. But yeah, it's one of those funny things though with this whole like 3G shutdown thing is that like something like 2 million people needed new phones.
Yeah.
Because there was phones as recently released as 2022, which didn't like support like the chosen bands that we have for like 4G and for like, and it's the big thing is like there's a part of the legislation which was, I believe, pushed for by like the telecommunications industry here, that if a phone doesn't fully support like the subsets of like the 4G like voice over like LTE, that they have to be completely barred from the network unless they're internationally roaming. So this phones as late as like 2019 and 2022 that just straight up are just e-waste now. And it's like, cool, I bet somebody has a sweet business where they're gonna, because these same people who are pushing this are also running the recycling like collection zones that you can find in most electronic stores. Like GB Hi-Fi's got like a box you can drop your phone in, like your old phone that's not like really good. I bet that's not going to get shipped off overseas where they're still good.
Oh, absolutely. It's either going to be a case of they're shipped off overseas for like minimum like work to get money, or because, you know, shit was used like, you know, almost like we had an abundance of it. There's going to be like a whole ton of, you know, raw resources extracted from it to make way more, you know proper device.
Like lithium is like the bottleneck on like current like human technology is like whether or not we run out of lithium.
Ow, I hit myself. I didn't realize how far ahead I was. Yeah, here's the interesting bit. There's a country in Africa that actually has like a pretty large deposit of lithium and what have you, and they're barring a lot of countries trying to do business with them because they're trying to like undervalue lithium just because the actual GDP of the country isn't really good. And a lot of the government officials are like, we're not going to engage with you on this kind of nonsense because this is clearly an important resource for way too many people in the world, and we're not going to be, you know, exploited for it like we have historically been. Good for them.
Yeah. I'm waiting for, like, you know, remember like we had our blood diamonds era as humans? I'm waiting for our blood lithium era.
Oh, I think the forward thinkers are going to be car manufacturers trying to come up with an entirely different battery.
You stole my mushroom.
Because, yeah, Elon Musk kind of...
I'm sorry, that was me.
Elon Musk, like, stifled...
my mushrooms.
It's your mushrooms. Like, Elon Musk...
You shall not have the
bike handles. This bike handle's awful and I hate it.
But I know that people are trying to, like, you know, put rocket fuel or something like that in our cars, like hydrogen or some shit. And, like,
the hydrogen economy was an interesting idea, but it's just one of those things where it's just gonna, it's not gonna take.
Do you think
it's something that technically would work on a small scale, but on a large scale, it's just never gonna happen.
Is the large scale
because it's one of those
hydrogen being like violently explosive?
So is lithium.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like hydrogen fires aren't as bad as like it's one of those things where they burn very energetically and very quickly, which means they end up doing very little actual burning damage to things. It's an interesting thing. Like if like there's like if you like I used to work in like a fire safety place, and like there was a lot of discussion about it. So it's like I'm not personally the expert, but I've been around people who are. Does that count?
You've got a little
I mean,
more
that's what Elon
knowledge
Musk
than the
uses to claim he's an
average
expert, right?
person.
Yeah. It's like I've hired more people to work on rockets than anyone. That makes me an expert on rockets, right? Anyway, But yeah, it's just saying it's just like the fact that like our ability to get, refine, and use reasonably lithium in order to make like our current best technology for batteries is like our bottleneck for technology as the human race. Meanwhile, disposable vapes full of lithium batteries getting thrown around at like on the ground at the end of a festival. Hooray!
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I've been sitting here waiting to make a joke about how all those old phones are not being shipped overseas into like poorer countries dumps, and I want to make a joke of like me going somewhere and picking up a phone and being like, hey, why does this say Ripper's phone on it?
So my backup phone is my old iPhone 5S, which that's no good anymore, even though it's a 4G device.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be blocked from the network starting on the 28th.
Hi there, Raiders. Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer. Today is Community Stream Nut Day. I am playing Mario Kart 8 with a number of people, and you viewers are invited. Yes, you too as well can join in. If you have a Nintendo Switch and Mario Kart 8, you're welcome to join in with us. Joined in with me in the VC is some of my other friends who are also playing Mario Kart 8.
You're an 8.
You're an 8. Wow, you didn't even give him a 10.
An 8 out of 10 is a good mark, all right? 8 out of 10 men is a 10 out of 10, okay? You show me...
That's not how that works.
8 out of 10 men hate this guy.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been zoned out for the past 30 minutes. What the hell did I zone back into?
Oh, I got called an 8 by Blue.
An 8 out of 10 guy is a 10 out of 10 guy?
Oh my god, people keep stealing my mushrooms. What the hell?
Damn, then what does that make my husband?
No mushrooms for you.
What?
Oh no, not the
Listen,
star.
if most men are an 8 out of 10, I'm just saying,
No.
my husband has to be like a 35 out of 10.
Look, I'm gonna be real. When Uber ratings and DoorDash ratings have warped ratings, but quite frankly, we are, on average, a 6 out of 10 is the national average, okay? There is, like, we're not a national average of 8. That's fucking ridiculous. But because of Uber not letting us have, like, legitimate criticism and, like, here's the thing. Not every service is a 5 out of 5, okay? In marketing, in business, you start at a 3. And 3 is you've done the barest minimum. You've done what everyone else needs to do in a business, okay? 4 out of 5 is when you do something a little bit extra that some businesses are doing, but it's not a necessity for all. 5 out of 5 is when it's like, fucking brilliant. I can't think of another one that's done it. Not everyone gets a Michelin star when they open a restaurant.
Or you be like me with my Uber driver. You give me a 5, I'll give you a 5.
But like, in a world of everyone being 5s, it ruins 4s. Like, that's not what we want to live in.
And also, like,
Well,
I
you
remember
see,
the first time that I heard this was eBay, where like neutral feedback would also like hurt people's reputations. So if something like went like, it's one of those things where it's like neutral feedback sounds like it's meant to be like oh, this went wrong, but it wasn't really their fault, or it was like, oh, they left out that like, you know, like I bought like a game console off them. They sent me the wrong color. Neutral feedback, and they're like, we've ruined me. It's like the algorithm being incredibly harsh towards what should be a legitimate option is
Banish the store into the shadow realm.
Yeah.
It's
just
all right. Well, I just have to say I'm gonna have to go quickly.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm gonna set up new stuff for my Twitch, and Elite is gonna help me.
Ooh.
So you should be expecting new redeems on my channel.
Amazing. Can we get a shout out for Mama Bear Baiju, please?
I'm gonna cry. I'll see y'all later.
Aww.
Love y'all.
Love you too.
Especially you, my husband, Aka.
Love you too.
Mwah.
There we go. Blast playing Dead by Daylight. Awesome.
I think it's because I'm currently the only mod in the chat.
I have other moderators. Like. Oh wait, no.
I am a moderator.
Technically, I'm here. I'm just not paying attention because, as I said, I don't have caffeine.
You're just.
It's also because I'm stealing Sashir's mushrooms all the time.
That too.
All right. All right.
So Ash needs them to wake up, and you're just taking them.
It's like, take. Who left this bowl of onions here?
All right. Do we want to do a 150 cc?
Of course.
That'd be nice.
All right, 150 and custom items as always.
I was gonna suggest randomizing it, but if it randomizes to 50, I'm leaving.
I don't know how you can randomize the CC, but okay. Someone tell me
just be hold down
when.
Oh, 50 just feels like I don't know. It just feels like
inside
banana.
No,
actually, just turn off the lightning and we'll call it good.
Turn off the lightning and we'll call it good. No. Nah, lightning's gonna stay in there if we got stars and shit.
Look, I tried to negotiate with the man.
I'm the streamer. There is no negotiation. You just appease your monarchy.
Well, I said I attempted to negotiate. I also failed.
Zeebs, it looks like I have to take you out to Korean barbecue again to negotiate the terms of our agreement.
I would love
you two
to go for
a date.
Can we like save the Korean barbecue for like next year? Because I'm gonna be on like I'm still on a diet until December, and then
I'm not going to Furdu next year.
No, I'm not either. We don't need a FurCon to have a Korean barbecue. We can just be two bros going to a Korean barbecue together.
Well, why the fuck would I go to Brisbane out of nothing?
Why the fuck would anyone go to Adelaide?
The real question is, why the hell would you go to Sydney?
I do love the idea of going to Adelaide and being like, what is a Foodland? What a weird country.
But look.
Also, Izzy, you were on board with like I know that like you haven't experienced like the tap water anywhere else in Australia, but the tap water in Fremantle was fucking awful, right?
It's something.
It was actually it was annoying. Like
in general.
Sorry.
Tap water in Perth is just awful in general.
See, I asked Sam, like, mentioned to Axton and to Natsu, who are like two of the locals. I was just like, hey, is it just me or is the water here terrible? And Natsu's like, yeah, no one drinks it.
Yeah, no one drinks
it. It's like, oh, okay.
This is why pumped is so popular
legitimately
in
no one drinks it.
Yeah. I have a sneaking suspicion.
Like a lot of people have complained about the water in a lot of the country, but like that was the first one that made me feel ill.
I'll tell you what made me
on Fremantle tap water was, why does this give me a thin layer of laminate on my hands?
I love how Wolf pipes up and is like, Adelaide was mentioned. Is the water in Adelaide good, Wolf? Because I
think it is these days.
It's alright. Like,
I mean, I know that it had a reputation like in the past, but I think they fixed it.
Yeah.
According to Wolk, it doesn't sound like they fixed it. It's all been like marketing from like across state lines.
I know that at least in the 50s, people whenever they built houses, they would attach like a fresh water tank to their house because the plumbed water was just that bad.
Yeah.
The further up in the hills of Perth you go, the worse it gets. It's fucking great.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, Izzy, I had to do the snappies.
Sashera is up in Perth.
I went from second to sixth. Everyone ran over me.
Well, I ran over you.
Find me.
Who stole my banana?
You.
Me.
You.
Alright, I'll tell you this.
Oh my god, I didn't come
I actually had
fucking change.
I actually had terrible tap water because I tried Floridian tap water and that was a mistake.
Wait, which one's Jackal? Oh wait.
You mean swamp
Union...
water?
Oh, it must be Union Jackal in the chat. Nice work.
100% swamp. You boiled it, there's still swamp. I did what every local did, just buy bottled water.
So yeah, maybe that's what I need to do because like I have a sneaking suspicion the suburb that I'm in doesn't have good water either. It's not like, you know, okay, granted, my opinion of like bad water is probably lower than your guys because like I've been to like the Middle East and Africa and shit like that. Like I've been to places where they tell you do not drink the water for health purposes. And also, apparently, in the United States, there's also like, you know, questionable water here and there, but I've been very lucky there. Anywhoosies, very, very tempting to either buy bottled water or the next residence that I have to find for like renting purposes after next year. I'm gonna pick a place that has filtered water. Or just
can't you just get something to filter your water anyway?
You can get a. I know Axton had a filter that like you just you remove the aerator from like a tap and just put a filter on.
Yeah, but you also you spend quite a bit on like the actual like things that have to go through it to do the filtering and such. So if you can get one that's like like under the tap or something like that, so one that goes like rather sooner, that's better. But
you can get yourself a big strong plumber.
Yeah. Or I just find a place that already has that
filter
shit.
the water for you?
No, like to like install the water filter. And if they're like a tall woman, then like even better.
Even better.
Even better. Izzy, can you draw a big tall like plumber girl giving Grant filtered water?
There'll be $130 US, please.
All right, we'll talk about that a while after I pay off this phone.
If I can put some like input in, since it's featuring my character, I would love for her to do like some sort of like double entendre, such as I need to see the pipe.
God, stealing my shit.
Can we also get an alternate version where she's dressed up like fucking Bob Hoskins from the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Oh, that's just a given. That's a cultural icon. Man, we need.
I remember why I hate this rendition of Mario Kart.
Why do you hate this rendition? Because you keep getting your mushrooms stolen?
No, because of the fucking coin system.
Hang on, let's see if I can get this person.
Coins make you go faster, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need.
Cool. The last Mario Kart I played before this was on Super Nintendo.
Where it didn't have a.
If you get cucked on coins, you just get cucked in general. It's like.
Yeah. It's a tough life.
You get cucked in the game, you get cucked in real life.
True.
Ah!
Oh, come
my
on. And lightning doesn't help because it just gets rid of all your fucking coins.
It gets rid of 3 coins and then you lose your items. And I still have to deal with fucking Jackal.
It's too many.
Maybe the weather was a bad idea.
Take that, Zeebs.
What did I do?
Take that, Ripper.
Oh, I'm losing so many places. Only pumped for bathtub and toilet. Office cooler for drinking and cooling. Okay. I have a second room as an office. I'm probably not going to be able to keep this kind of a thing going when I go for a new lease because I'm not staying in this place. It's going to cost me like half my income to stay here. That's not sustainable. I would be in rental stress. I'm probably going to have to go back to like one room, so like one bedroom, and then have like my stream set up in the living room and just not host shit unless I'm ready to like have a conversation for why I have such a huge like VR setup and all this other VR tubing stuff. And then, why is there a duffel bag filled with a fursuit?
Why is there a body bag?
If I was a more confident furry, you know what I would do? I would get a mannequin. I would put that partial on the mannequin. It would be a set piece in the living room if I was a more confident fur.
Yeah, put it in a glass case too, and it's just like, don't stare. He doesn't like it when people stare. He might get out.
Oh, great. We have an effigy of Zeebs.
It's not I guess. I can't tell the difference. So.
Grant's like, I'll have to find out later if that's correct.
Yeah. I'll Google it later, because I remember that was like a thing in, the Da Vinci Code, where they're like trying to find a grave or something, and then like the protagonist is like, these aren't graves, these are effigies, and I'm just like, whatever the fuck does that mean? Oh my god.
They're not graves unless they're from the unless they're from the grave region of France. Otherwise, they're sparkling remembrance.
Ah, okay. Is that what an effigy is? It's just a.
No, I'm just being a little shit.
Okay. Oh, come on.
Who keeps putting freaking bananas on the double item boxes?
You need that
Someone who's
potassium.
very fucking smart.
I've been dodging all of them.
Hey, Icy, remember when you made me 5th last round? Fuck you.
Oh, freaking, I'll make you the 5th guy.
I just need more coins. Stop giving other people coins. Uh-oh. Oh, no, 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 no! Oh, I fell off the edge.
Ah, no! Shh!
Fell off.
I love how you shush.
Don't take my coins, you fucking...
Just the shush, like, just let it happen.
What am I stealing? Oh, that's actually kind of neat.
Ow. Get fucked, I had a star.
Good thing I had a ghost. Let's boo this way.
Oh, Ripper.
Is there anything worse than watching 3 coins disappear because, like, right before you pick them up?
Hey, Jackal.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Come back here.
Where the fuck is Jackal? Oh my god, he's so hard at. Ah, I can't pick up the coins in this map.
Me getting hit with lightning. Why did Einstein invent the weather manipulator?
No, you're thinking of Benjamin
Man, I
Franklin.
used to be so good at this game.
I thought he invented the chrono shift.
No, Benjamin Franklin invented lightning. There's a difference.
He either invented lightning or the condom because he got delayed so much, and I do not understand the riz on that man. He was balding and shit, and the French ladies loved him.
I believe it's called being rich and powerful.
Damn. I thought it was a Buddha thing.
I'll take either of those things.
Same.
Okay, so I went back from
over 950.
to
Okay. All right, Alliance. We're gonna fuck up Jackal if we can. 950 hours in the game.
I wish my hyperfixation game was still in triple digits. Mine is embarrassingly high.
What's
my Pokemon X is like at its max play time.
I was playing a game that came out in 2008. It doesn't have hour tracking because it didn't come out on Steam for a while. And Steam didn't track hours since 2008. But the only hours that I had to track was I got a VR headset to play nothing but one particular flight sim, and my Steam VR hours after 2 years of owning VR was at 5,300 hours.
God damn.
And I've been playing that game since 2008.
I had a Steam account like fairly early on in the years, not at the start, not like Counter-Strike era, but more like Portal 1 or 2 kind of time. But I don't use that account anymore because it has like my real name and all these links and shit. And I was like, ever since doing like, you know, the furry as more of my internet, you know, gateway identity and shit like that, I've now have an entirely different Steam account that is kind of picking up on library, but oh my gosh, I don't get my cool star for, you know, existing for as long as I did.
I had a second Steam account. It went away, unfortunately, when I got caught up in an old Steam thing where what people would do is they would buy a stolen credit card online and they would just gift people in like Counter-Strike Source.
Yep.
They would gift people like a $1 game with the stolen credit card.
Yep.
And then you would get reported for you get reported for having a gift sent to you with a stolen credit card, and Valve would take your account away and with no appeal.
Okay, I feel like that's a bit of
the
a
dumbest
that is a
shit
fucked
Well,
way. Honestly,
Oh
Valve,
yeah, they took a lot of flack for it because like it deleted millions of dollars worth of games, and Valve didn't want to fix it because oh no, guess you're gonna have to buy all your games again. What a shame!
You don't even own them. It's a fucking lease and everything. Like the owner should be on the person who stole the credit card, not the fucking owner of a gift.
Well, that was the argument. Nowadays they do it properly, but there was like a good like 6-year period where they didn't. It was awful.
Yeah, because someone had to like, you know, tell Twitch that not Twitch, Valve, that they're fucking idiots. This is the
yeah, same thing.
Valve, I'm gonna be real with you. Valve should not be as big as they are with as fucked of a legal team as they have. Like, thank Christ Australia like sues them and shit like that, but
oh yeah, the European Union is also pretty on them as well.
yeah, it's like
I do think it's funny though. It's just like
my mushrooms.
no mushrooms for you.
No mushrooms.
But
B.
it's like the whole thing where it's like there was that surprise announcement at PAX about like the fact that like the Steam Deck's coming to Australia. And what I thought was hilarious was they had a booth we could come and play the Steam Deck, but they didn't announce it like at the very start of the show.
Yeah.
Like so that you could buy the Steam Deck now. So it's like me and like David, like Mega's husband, were like hanging out at PAX, and it's like hey, why don't you come to our booth and play the game console? We won't sell Australia.
You got too many. Oh, god damn it. I had to take all those shells. I hope you understand. I hope I understand. I gave you that victory.
You got absolutely screwed out of that one, Grant. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
But then they announced it like they're actually selling it, and it's just like, man, so they're selling us a 4-year-old console for way too much money, and they also shut down a really cool fan project. When did Valve become Nintendo?
They're worse than Nintendo, because here's the thing, is like, sure, Nintendo is fucking like terrible with their legal team and such, but it's one of those cases of like they do this to protect it's to protect the brand and to protect the things in it and such like that. And the only time that like Nintendo is problematic is when it's like, oh, the shit back in the day and such, because, you know, we're not gonna get that shit back. Steam, we don't have that problem like explicitly. My issue with Steam is the people around it being like, oh my god, Steam could never do wrong. How is the winning strategy in the digital marketplace to do nothing? And it's like, Steam is getting away with a lot, like, because let's be real. Remember when the journalist talked about the game Deadlock before it was, you know, given the slight update of, oh, hey, you're allowed to, you're allowed to, like, talk about it and stream it and shit. Remember that dude?
Oh, yeah, he broke embargo, which, to be fair, is
it
a
wasn't
very
embargo!
big no-go.
Okay, first and foremost, a post-it note at the start of the game that you can just exit out of and it doesn't lock you out of the game is not an embargo. There is no NDA. Deadlock is just a play test like any...
Oh, is it really just a post-it note?
It is...
Oh my god.
Yeah, he says it in the article. They give you a little thing of like, hey, it would be great if you didn't talk about it. And they have a button to say okay.
Okay, yeah, well, they didn't cite shit then, fuck them.
Yeah, he didn't...
Hey, Grant, I'm gonna take off for the night, okay?
Not to worry, Echo. Sorry about that. Hopefully you have a wonderful night.
Have a good night. I will. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Bye. Hope you have a wonderful
Bye.
time. So yeah, so there's nothing about the Deadlock Alpha that makes it where it's like, oh, you broke NDA, you have ruined the relationship of, like, you know, us ever giving you anything. It's like, no, you were literally just gifted a game because other people were already playing it and you had friends. And what's more is you had 20 or 10,000 people playing this game. It was a very poorly kept secret. But here's the thing, is that in the, you know, realm of, like, journalism and shit like that, no one was talking about it. If that game went on for any longer, we'd be giving journalists flack for not reporting on it, being like one of the largest of like the, you know, closed alpha games that were just growing in size. So he talks about it. And like a day or two after he does his article talking about the pros and cons and giving, because everyone was like, oh, do we really want a hero shooter? And he's like, does the article, and he's like, it's not explicitly a hero shooter, it's more of a MOBA, similar to League of Legends, but instead in the third person perspective with waves, and it has, like, you know, traveling and such, so it's not a hero shooter. It's great, and like, that's insightful. It's great. It forms people's opinions. That way people aren't just being a case of, oh, play Deadlock with me, because what if you don't have friends? The VC is only for streamers, right? The VC is for people I vibe with. So streamers, moderators, and people I've chat with previously in the past. I'm sorry to say, Union Jackal. It is I do not have a vibe check on you, however, but it does sound like you have some very common relationships. Do any of you in the VC familiar with Union Jackal?
My like 0 to 100 win rate with them and Mario Kart. Does that count?
No, that doesn't count.
We're renaming it.
Yeah. All right. But yeah. Anyway, so back to the thing in particular with the journalist. 2 or 3 days after his article, he was blocked from playing any games on Deadlock, and some people were like, and he took it on the chin. He was like, "Yep, nope, I'm no longer able to play any of the online games on Deadlock." And there was a lot of people that were like, "Serves you right, you broke NDA and shit." And it's like, no, that's not what happened here. What happened here is a journalist gave a critical review on a game that still exists when, and let's be real, a lot of developers and publishers are moving towards games as a service, which is you're going to be playing a video game that is going to still have changes after review, and what they do to their journalist is they retaliated. That is not an okay thing to leave hanging. Like, imagine if you like did a poor review on a video game like No Man's Sky, and Hello Games was able to just sort of be like, thanks, but you don't get any of the updates anymore. You only get to play the version you poorly reviewed. Like, it's in the same realm. I don't think Steam should be given a free pass to just retaliate to journalists. It's a very
No, it's awful.
It's a very fucked thing. And I don't like that players were like, oh, it's an NDA, and it's like, no, it's not. Don't lie to me. Like, NDAs are very specific things, and they are given to you prior to the game, and there's a lot, and like, the term of a contract is...
You have to sign the NDA before you even get the fucking game.
And what's more is, for example, terms of service or EULAs and shit, proper ones, they will block you from playing the game until you accept it. You can't skip EULAs and TOSs. You can try, but you can't. You can't even run a Minecraft server until you accept the EULA. You can't try and run it without accepting the EULA. It will just simply go, nope, we're not letting you run it. You need to run a EULA. Having a post-it note that just says, hey, you know, maybe don't talk about our game online. That's not a EULA. That's not an NDA. That's not a TOS. That is simply just someone putting a post-it note on the fucking fridge saying, please don't microwave your fish. Like,
Val saying, pinky promise?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing where it's like you not retaliating. It's one of those things where it's like, I remember, like, we, at one of the places I worked, like, our game somebody put up a review for it, and it was very scathing, which, to be fair, they were right, it was shit. What the thing is like, we were sitting around, and one of the co-workers of the other programmers, it's just like, yeah, so I was curious about this guy, so I looked it up, and yeah, he's not on the list of people who bought it, because like we'd only made like 80 sales at that point, so he was able to check. He's like, yeah, like this, like it's just like, yeah, he didn't buy it because like it was a reviewer who used their real name, and they have it like in the sales, like on, because we were selling through Humble Store. And it's like, yeah, and then also said, it's like they also used a really old copy as well, so I think they've just pirated it. And it's just like, and you know, somebody's just like, well, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna like DMCA it because they pirated the game? And I'm just like, no, we can't do that. Like, that's just not something we can do. Like, it's something that we technically could do, but like realistically, like customer goodwill, we can't do that. Somebody's pirated our game and put up a bad review that looks like retaliation.
Yeah.
And in reality, it was. The only reason anybody even talked about DMCAing this guy is because he put up a crappy review.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
and it wasn't even just he didn't like, you know, bring it down to high heaven. It was very much in the mood that I feel like a lot of people would have had if it wasn't Valve doing an alpha and people have their, like, you know, stop picking on my bit company. Because Valve is too big of a company in terms of, like, you know, what it's doing for the market to run around without a legal team or any sort of, like, understanding of you are setting the trend. Someone tell me when.
I did say when.
Bomb, Blue Shell, and Speaker.
Oh god.
Oh no.
Are we really gonna play with this?
Can we just,
oh no, like, he's already hit
A. Like, no more defending big companies. Can we just fuck off with that, just in general?
The only millionaire that any of us should be simping for is Danny DeVito. I hope this comment ages well.
That is honest. I was gonna say the only million or billionaire we should ever simp for is Gomez Adams. Because if we have to eat...
I love one of the...
yeah. There was like a Tumblr thread or something like that where it's like me crying because we're rebelling against the riches and I have to kill Gomez Adams. And there's just a thread of like, oh yeah, knowing our chances, however, if Gomez Adams was real, he would also welcome this thing. It's just like, oh, it's so great. We haven't had a beheading in the family in a long time.
To make some history. Man, I still love that the actor that played like Gomez in like the Addams Family movie also played like Vega or M. Bison, whoever you want to call him, in the Street Fighter movie.
Do you know why he did these films?
Because he enjoyed fun?
He was in... So prior to those films, he was in other films that were not appropriate for like kids at the age that his kids were to watch. So he went, so he picked roles that, you know, his kids were able to watch at a time. Because also he was, you know, graciously ill. I think he died soon. Like,
yeah, he was sick when they did Street Fighter, and that's kind of why he gave it his all.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, is like, it's nice that it was like, you know, he did these things. It's like when Jim Carrey does, blah, 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 blah. Oh, stop with the bombs. It's when he does, Eggman, because it's more of a case of like he does it for the fun of it and such, or why Robert Downey Jr. did What's-a-Mahoozy in Oppenheimer. He damn it, I only just got the ball. He was interested in doing it just because, you know, he'd been in Marvel for 10 years and he felt like he was just sleepwalking in his films, especially after doing What's-a-Mahoozies.
I feel like 15 films. I feel like I'll be sleepwalking too.
Because he was in a Dr. Dolittle remake, and I'm like, this feels ham.
They remade.
Oh, this sucked.
Yeah, they did.
It sucked.
Damn.
And here's the part that.
To be fair, the original wasn't exactly great cinema either.
Look, but you weren't asking it to be great cinema. Like, that's the thing, is like a lot of.
No, you kind of knew what you were getting.
Yeah, it was Eddie Murphy because Eddie Murphy was popular after.
It's like, I don't think any of us thought that Daddy Daycare was going to be the next like Casablanca.
Yeah, but we weren't asking it to be. I don't know what happened where it's like, oh, we have to have big cinema like somehow we're repeating the Ben-Hur Cleopatra lessons that we, you know, shouldn't have now. Where it's like, you know, we're spending way too much and shit.
Is there anything sadder than getting blue shelled while in 5th because you?
Well, there's a double blue shell coming
hitting me with blue shells. I'm not even first.
Oh, damn it.
Well, Jackal is getting bombed and blue shelled over and over again.
Oh, I lost all my coins. There's no point to this.
I have a bomb.
No! Oh, god damn it. Why am I getting the speaker in
coins?
Oh, I'm third.
Apparently the track changes.
Yeah. But yeah.
Speaking of Oppenheimer, after getting blasted with all these bombs, I might as well get a credit.
Oh my god, there's 2 blue shells coming up. 3 blue shells coming up.
Okay, I destroyed one of them because it was about to hit me.
Oh, here comes another one.
Oh man!
This Grand Prix, I'm just going to erase from my memory.
I'm third, and I have a blue
way
shell.
Too fucking much.
I remember when I was in 3rd.
I lost something once.
Stop with the black.
Oh, come on!
Yes, I'm in 5th, for fuck's sake.
Damn it, Izzy took my third.
Eat
There's
shit.
so many blue shells. What?
Oh yeah, Izzy.
Stop.
Yes.
Oh, I need to commission you for something later when you open your commissions again.
They.
We can discuss it on Sunday if you like.
Sure.
We're not doing blue shells only. I did that with some Americans last month. It was. Come on, Baby Park.
To be fair, we're basically
Baby
doing
Park.
blue shells only
Baby
because
Park.
the bombs are blue shells for people who don't.
Blue shells only is fine because they will always, you know, do something. But bombs and blue shells and speakers, what's a speaker gonna do against a bomb? Blow it up?
There was a point where there was 4 of us that were just all sitting behind 5 bombs that like happened. Somebody got hit and then everybody threw their bombs. So there was just this constant like wall of fire in front of us, and we just had to sit there. I think I got stuck with a bunch of AI that just were throwing bombs constantly, so we just couldn't move.
Nice.
Oh no.
It is what it is.
But yeah, one of my favorite lines from like a dumb, like badly aged like 2000s movie was like in Idiocracy when like the 2 of the main characters, like they're from the past and like humanity has devolved, like just the average intelligence has gotten worse and worse.
Yeah.
And yeah, so everyone's just stupid. And they were saying it's like, and they were talking to each other, and it was like, it's just like, do you think this is how Einstein felt? Like he knew what was going on, and everyone else was just kind of he was just an idiot, and he was really just worried about where humanity was going. And it's just like, yeah, well, yeah, now you know why he built that bomb. It's like, Jesus.
Technically, it wasn't him, but I get the sentiment.
Oh yeah. I mean, but that's kind of the point. Was like that these people were not intelligent by modern standards, but you know, like 1,000 years in the future.
Oh god damn it! I bombed myself.
They're the saviors of humanity, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Can I stop getting this freaking mega horn?
I thought you liked getting your
Jackal's doing all these blue shells coming after him.
I was in first at one point. Thanks for all the blue shells, everyone.
Wow, that's the first time I've seen blue shells destroy coins.
They do that?
No more currency.
Just as the communists intended.
I don't know if that's true either.
I don't think that's right.
Is
I
he
suppose it
doing
depends on
anything to
which-
destroy capitalism?
I suppose that depends on which branch of communist philosophy you subscribe to.
Yeah, if it's not from the communism region of Russia, it's not. It's just sparkling socialism.
You're gonna have to ask what. You're gonna have to ask a post-communist Balkan country about this.
I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, no, not post-communist. What's the one that's going through like hyper free market capitalism right now and is like, you know, fucked? Is it like Argentina or something?
I'm not sure. The question that you've asked doesn't narrow it down in the slightest. I've got to be honest.
Exactly. Which one of them isn't?
The one where the president like has cloned his dog like 2 or 3 times, so he keeps the same dog.
Well, I don't know anything about this. I'm gonna
This is getting into some like. This is getting into some
This changed to like Evil Genius 2 DLC really quick.
You son of a bitch!
No, why am I? Oh, because everyone's finished the races. God damn it. No.
Yeah, that blew my mind the first time that happened to me, and it's like, oh, because I'm first out of the people who are still racing.
Ah. Hi there, Gage.
Okay,
Welcome to the stream. You want to play some Mario Kart 8? Pinned a message in the chat. We'll give you the room ID so you may join.
Listen here, Jackal. I'm gonna put you on a list.
Jackal, we are not doing 200cc blue shells only.
Baby Park, everyone.
We are not
Come
gonna
on.
do self-harm.
Baby
No.
Park. Baby
No.
Park. Do. Baby Park. Do. Baby Park.
Shut up!
So you were right. It was Argentinian president who, you know, in a nice change from the rest of the Western world, you know, elected an eccentric right-wing populist. Hooray!
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 Luckily, I have a blue shell emote. Where's my thing? Where is it? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So the weirdest thing to me about them cloning their dogs is not that they cloned their dog. It's the fact that they cloned. So they had one dog who passed away, and they cloned them.
Yeah.
But they didn't just clone them in like a linear way. Like they didn't just keep cloning the same dog. They turned one dog into 5 dogs. Like they got 5 clones of their one dog.
What is?
And like that's. And it's just like I can't believe that the fucking president used a dupe glitch.
It's not my fault they're playing Fallout 76.
I don't think it's anybody's fault if someone plays Fallout 76. Man, Fallout 76 was a game that they marketed it so badly at E3 because they were just like, even though this is not what the game actually ended up being. Oh, I'm first.
Oh, this sucks.
But
Oh, this sucks.
Well, like yeah, like when they were showing the game off at E3, I think it was, they were just like, hey, do you like Battle Royale? You'll love Fallout 76. And it's just like, what? No. And turns out like it was just a sub mode, it wasn't even the main game. But they advertised it like it was only Battle Royale, and it was like, okay, well, no, we don't want that. And then it turned out it was nothing like that. It's like, thanks, Bethesda. Tell you what doesn't just work, your fucking marketing department.
The mode's defunct now, by the way, which is very funny.
Yeah, like you can't even play it anymore now because I assume it was just so unpopular.
It was just trying to cash in on Fortnite, like everyone else was, and it's like, bro, this is not.
Come on!
Not even the base game was something people really wanted out of a Fallout game.
Stop it!
Let alone like Fortnite again.
Yeah, I've heard that like the game is like actually like fun, which like if that's true, cool. That's the winner. I like it when video games are good.
Damn it, Ripper!
If you like
Damn, that was
Fallout
close.
3, if you like Fallout 3, but you felt like you wanted multiplayer, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that with me being in second, but Jackal being in the server, I think we can agree that I'm winning the Grand Prix.
Alright, I'm sitting up right now.
Oh, he's sitting up. Alright,
Oh, I was about to say the Daisy dress is coming up.
Let's go for it.
Oh, you would want that.
Alright.
We'll talk about it later.
Where is... Here it is, Sydney Sprint.
It doesn't help. I actually own a Daisy dress.
You make it sound like as if you don't
you're
like
not gonna
these
get away
things.
from the Daisy allegations.
You make it sound like you don't like these things. I don't have a maid
Icy, who's
outfit.
excited to be purchasing the Daisy dress. Oh, I just can't wait for it to show up. And then it's like, oh, why do I own this?
Yeah, it's not like me in the maid outfit. It's like, one time, I wasn't even involved on the making. That was done by Wolk. He gave it to me, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to use it. There is no maid outfit IRL.
I don't care what
God
gender
damn you,
are.
Sage.
Put on the maid outfit.
You see, it's one of those things where it's like, Grant's like, for me, it's a bit. For Icy, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. It's like, you could have Icy just through a stream, back to back in a dress. Me, I've put the cost fairly high for the maid outfit, but hey, I wear it for an hour because I don't wear it often.
It's either I get put into an outfit or someone turns me into food.
How are we on Baby Park already? I did not pick this.
I mean, I voted for Baby Park at least. I don't know whose Baby Park was picked. I wasn't paying too much attention. I was too busy making fun of Icy and his wardrobe.
No.
As is deserved.
Get back here!
Oh my god, I just want to drive the bike. Why do I have to explode every 5 seconds?
Oh, goddamn.
Because
Look, I'm in my,
we're in hell now.
Oh,
this is hell. We are in
the
hell.
speaker actually like hits people if they're too close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was the point of it.
That's the point of it.
I thought it was
The point of it.
I thought it was just for the blue shell.
That it's used to destroy everything near you. Like, oh my god, why would you do this to me?
Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare,
Ah,
nightmare.
who's
Nightmare.
you?
I love
doing
the
my
memes
best.
of that man. Too bad he's an awful human being.
The memes
What,
of
Yoshi
which...
P?
I didn't realize this meme had a source.
Wait, which meme?
I thought it was an Alex Jones meme, wasn't it?
What was?
No,
Is it?
well,
Oh my God.
no, Yoshi P at one point, like, people were being like, hey, so when do we get Final Fantasy 14 1.0 re-release since WoW's done their whole classic mode? He's like,
Oh,
nightmare.
nightmare. Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I'm fine without the 1.0. I feel like the only people who need to do that are like the YouTubers like Valley Vidi that are interested in the past thing. But if I want to learn about the past, I'll organize my A team for the Bahamut coils, like I said I would.
I will say though, you don't have to worry about Alex Jones owning the meme anymore. He sold it off to pay off his legal debts.
Yep.
You had to sell it to a fucking like mom and dad like second-hand shop. So if you want to own the persona of Alex Jones, you could go to that pawn shop and pay $3 for it, which is way too much.
What would be Alex Jones's persona though?
I
feel like he would have like
probably a cockroach that's missing its back half.
No, you know what I reckon it would be? I reckon he would just be a classic bear, but he would be one of those like hyper-aggressive bears where he always has to be the bigger one, the stronger one and such. I reckon that's his frog. I feel like that's a mean one, but
I thought prairie dog that just screams in the middle of the night.
I mean, I would have said tapeworm really, because the man is a parasite.
You guys aren't. You need to like. You'd either be a bull or a Bart. What's a Bart?
I think they tried to
Probably
say that.
that's bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I feel like he would just be a generic white wolf.
Actually, yeah.
Why?
He probably would.
Generic white wolf with red shirt and blue jeans.
What furry species is in right now? Because like for the last like decade and a half, like every year there's like a furry species that every new furry was using.
I reckon.
What's in at the moment?
I don't think we have a quote-unquote in, because people aren't making personas that quickly, so... But I feel like the most recent, like, era of
The
personas
persona
we're in...
economy has slumped.
No, it's not that it's slumped. Here's the thing. All right, so earlier on, like, you got like, just to map it out, we went through an era of people making personas of really crazy colors, so it'd always be like, oh, polychromatic, here's a cosmic, here's a rainbow, here's toxic, and all these other nonsense. Something that's like really painful for the artist to try and rendition if they're not doing it at a rendered level, but just color with no shading and shadows. So that was one era, and that was like back in, I want to say mid 2000s,
Late
like,
90s.
yeah, late 90s to mid 2000s. Then we had the era of, you know, Sergals, Protogens, you know, custom species, but were also like, you know, copyrighted for whatever reason. And then after that, in order to avoid those, we then went for crossover species like lion stoats or fox bears or anteater marsupial thing or something or other. Now, I feel like some of us have picked up an animal book or something like that from like the library and shit, and we've actually started picking, you know, niche animals like capybaras, stoats, and like, you know, species that we know of that aren't just, you know, here's fox, here's a blue wolf, here's a pink dog. It's like we've actually, you know, looked for special animals like zebra, pygmy rhino.
Don't at me.
I feel like we're still. What do you mean? Don't at you? You're late. You're clearly a late '90s persona design with the fox with the cosmic nebula who isn't sci-fi orientated for some reason.
Hello.
At least no one's a gooey duck.
A what duck?
You mean a guck?
A what?
A what?
It's spelled geoduck, but it's pronounced gooey duck. Please don't show it on stream.
Oh
I
God.
don't want to know. I don't want to know.
You can't do
Why
that
would you
to
bring
me.
this up?
I am.
Don't show it on
Okay,
stream.
well, I'm gonna take a minute because I need to use the bathroom.
Oh, it's just a fucking clam, but everyone's taking pictures of it with its penis out.
Oh, that'll be its
Yes.
foot, I expect.
Sorry?
That'll be its foot. Because like a lot of clams and oysters and stuff, and like shellfish, tend to have a singular foot to move around.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You hate geoducks. Understandable. Also, hi there, Jason. Welcome to the stream. Alright, well,
It's pronounced gooey duck.
gooey duck. I thought it was geoduck, like a fucking Pokemon.
I think this is the part where I leave because I gotta get ready to go elsewhere.
Understandable.
Same. I gotta go to work. I gotta prepare for work.
Alright, this sounds like a good time then as an actual just overall ending the stream here, I feel then, because, you know, it's 12 o'clock. I've been streaming for the last 3 hours, which I think is an okay time. I'm gonna unpin this message now because no more games. And I know, Jason, I know you just got here. I'm so sorry, but it's been 3 hours. I don't normally like going for a huge amount of time. What's more is I need to get my shake for lunch today and then need to figure out what I'm going to be playing next week. I might play Call of Duty Black Ops. Who the fuck knows? I might just be that generic of a gamer. Let's have a look.
Final Fantasy streamer.
You know, that is on my to-do list to go through Final Fantasy like 1 to 6. Ooh.
I actually I found my copies of like the Final Fantasy remakes for the PSP like in like one of my like moving boxes, and I'm like, oh god. And then I'm just like, I wonder how much these go for now, and apparently the answer is like over $100. And it's just like, why is a single PSP remake of Final Fantasy 2 so expensive?
I keep mixing up my goblins, because Goblin Twixie is not the same as Ant Gobbo, right? Why am I asking? You guys don't know. Never mind.
Yeah, they say it doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't ring any bells. All right. Ooh, Radium is doing some Majora's Mask randomizer nonsense. Let's go for...
While I'm still here, I just wanted to mention you saying Stoat Line laser targeting on Z as if he specifically chose that.
No, he's just
when he made that first
He's
Persona.
an example, okay? He's just an example
No,
of
he
the
just got caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, okay? Much like how Sashera got caught in the crossfire with, like, the earlier era.
It started off with the meme of line from wish.com.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Not even Street's paddle pop line? Like...
No, because you know how Z kept saying he was a stoat?
Yeah.
But I kept egging him on, saying you look like a line from wish.com.
So you're the reason why he had to retcon his persona.
Part of the reason.
Uh-huh. Alright, well, we're gonna go raid into Radium very shortly, so would love for you to join in for that one. Blah, 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 blah. Can I think of a
Thanks for hosting. Thanks for letting us play.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for hosting. Thanks for letting us play.
Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry that it was like another, you know, Mario Kart game like it was last year. I try to mix them up like each month and such, but November will be like probably the last one of this year because I'm not going to be in the country on December, so I'll need to have like a proper think of the appropriate community game to play for next month. So not Jackbox, not Mario Kart, something else that's, you know, a large number of people have an opportunity to play and what have you. In the meantime, however, thank you everyone who came along to this morning's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a chance to check out Sashera, Ripper, Izzy the Fat Cat, Blue Foxy, Nicey Icy, as they are all streamers themselves as well. And for everyone else that joined in on the races. In the meantime, however, see you all next time. Bye.
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 Bye. Alright, off I go. Thanks again for having me.
Not to worry.